I'm just going to pour myself a glass of Jack Daniels. Just give it a minute or two. I like these little ice cubes. They're like little balls. They go well with the whiskey. There. Bottoms up. Well, good evening. Well, there's a familiar name. Hello, Dwayne. Yes, we're doing great. Back here in old Blighty. Hope you and Tyler are okay. Not busy, pop round. I will if I'm free. I'm not doing anything, but I'm not sure at the minute what I'm doing. I know I've got shopping tomorrow, that's for sure. But anyway, good to hear from you. Ricky, hello. Hope to see more out and about video. Yeah, I'll do a bit here and there. I quite actually like to sort of like walking around, talking anything nonsense. Doesn't matter, does it? Mr. Dave, good evening to you, Mr. Dave. It's Saturday night again. It's been a quick week. This week has just gone so blooming fast. Finn, how you doing? Good to hear from you. I hope you got the whiskey out. Asenore. Asenore. I hope I'm saying that right. Cheers. Cheers to you. Bartos. Bartos, how are you doing? JD is an offer at Tesco with the club card. £20. Get yours while it lasts. Oh, you know what, Bartos? You've set me off again now on one. I don't like this. My Tesco is the one shop that I like to go to Tesco because I know where everything is. It's good quality food and vegetables and fruit and all that sort of thing. I like it. So that's where I go. I don't go to all the other little shops because half the stuff in the Aldis and Lidls, I don't know what they are and all that. I don't even spend any time there. I can't be bothered. But the one thing that gets me about Tesco that I don't really like is the club card. Because number one, it's kind of like if you don't have the club card, you can't get a deal. So you've got to sign up for their club card. And half the times, the prices they put down to their yellow labels are what the prices originally were anyway. So you're not really gaining anything. Anyway, I'm going off track. Let me carry on. Jacqueline, how are you doing? So did anyone try and buy anything with your credit card? No. Believe me, half the internet has my card details. I've never lost anything yet. So, but anyway, well spotted. I cut that bit out, by the way, just in case. Stephen, good evening to you. I'll just run through a quick few people, then I'll bang on a little bit. Hello, Vic. Been a while. Good evening, Vic. Hope you're having a good one. Steve, hello. Ice cubes with whiskey, yuck. Hope you're well, mate. I'll be well shortly when I've had a few of these. I like cold whiskey. I can't drink it warm. I've got to have the ice in it. I used to be a Southern Comfort drinker. I was having this conversation a few days ago. I was told that Southern Comfort is an old man's drink. And Jack Daniels is like the hip drink to have. So I just stick to Jack Daniels now. Good evening, Matty. How you doing? And Bubbies, hello. Good evening. Back in England, yes. Back in old Blighty. Cheers. Now, if you watched the last video I put out last Sunday about paying, like getting this Serps money and using it, and it was invested in a private pension and then paying this house with it. That video, it was very watered down video, but I'm glad I did water it down. The problem is I was going to make a video which was going to be a full blown, it would have probably been an hour long, and it was going to go into this, that and the other of my life and how I was living going back years, and how it all tied in with things that happened and how I got to where I am now. But I didn't do that. I just stuck to the basic story of how I got contracted out of Serps and how the money got invested, and then how I took the pension money out and blah, blah, blah. And the rest is in the video. But there were a couple bits and pieces that I didn't put in that I could have put in. I really should have put in, actually. So I'll probably cover a few of them little bits tonight. So just to make it a bit more clarification sort of thing. But before I do that, I'm going to go through. There's a couple comments which I've got pretty recently. And let me put my glasses on. This is the first comment. I got this one today. I thought, if this guy was able to tell his story, it'd be bloody good. This is from a guy called Volt. He goes, I paid my mortgage off at 40 by overpaying anywhere I could, 15 years. I then bought 3 scummy flats at auction at 30k each. Within 10 years, I had paid these off purely by using the rental income and excess income. I then sold them over 3 years to avoid capital gains. I then bought a beautiful villa in Spain. Then he puts in capital letters. I hope you're listening, Volt. He then puts in capital letters. Then wife left and I am back on my arse. Snakes and ladders of life. Well, yes, indeed. 66 now, no chance of recovering, but have given my 3 kids sound financial advice in the hope they become debt-free ASAP. That would be a good story to tell. There are a few more. There's a couple here that are kind of interesting. There's one guy who was basically saying, if you've got married, maybe your ex-wife will be chasing you for your pension money. That was a few people have said that in the comments on the video I made, and that's not applicable to me because I never got married. So I just wanted to clarify that. This one here, this is for Ian Maffer. I hope you're listening, Ian, because I think you're 100% wrong here. But you've put, Alan, great story, but be aware you will only get the full state pension if you pay national insurance right up to the cut-off date of 67. I took redundancy at 61, having paid in over 42 years of NI, didn't bother to sign on the dole or look for a job as I had a private pension as a form of income. As a result, my state pension is below the original forecast. But you know what I think what you're trying to say, Ian, if you're listening, what you're trying to say is you hadn't put in 35 full years of NI contributions. That's why you've got to work further up until your retirement age or after your retirement age until you actually get all them years of national insurance contributions in. In a lot of people's cases, if you work 35 years, say from the day you leave school and you work for 35 years, that's it. If you put 35 full years of national insurance contributions to the government, you will get full state pension. And any extra subsequent years that you may work after them 35 years, you will still be paying national insurance contributions, but it will not increase your state pension any more than the maximum you're allowed. So that's the thing. What situation you've got there is not applicable to most people, but those people that don't have 35 full years, they may have to work extra years to actually get their state pension up to the right level, or the full state pension what they want to get to. But anyway, that was it. I'm not going to go through no more comments because there's millions of them. So if anyone wants to read the comments, there's some quite good comments there, quite interesting ones as well. Wayne, put your glasses on, Alan. Don't want you squinting. Yeah, I'll tell you something. These are the glasses I got from Valencia City. And when I put these on, oh my God, I'm seeing everything. I'm like, wow. It's like everything is like crystal clear. Well, at least small text is. Even my face, looking at my face on the screen here, it's a little bit fuzzy. If I put these on, it's like, whoa, take them off again, for God's sake. Good pair of glasses. Matty, herbal refreshments here. Oh, come on, it's Saturday night. At least have a living beer. There's some Carlsbergs in the fridge. You can have the herbal tea Sunday morning to get rid of your hangover. Dave, I don't hope you're all well. Yes, Dave, thank you very much. I hope you're well too. CNC Setter, well, hello. Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you. Will you be having turkey or an Iceland chili chicken pizza? Do you know what I'll be having for Christmas? What the meat I'll be buying? And it comes from Tesco's, believe it or not. I will buy one of them like chicken joints with the stuffing already in it. Not a full chicken you put in the oven. I'll just buy a chicken joint already in the silver foil with the stuffing in it, and I'll just bang that in the oven. That's it, nice and simple. And I will make the full roast dinner. I will get all the vegetables, potatoes and all that, and I will do the whole 9 yards. I will have drink and I will have chocolates for after. I'm not really that much Christmas person, but I do like to make a proper Christmas dinner on Christmas Day. Mainly because there's stuff all else to do with Christmas Day. I actually don't like days. You know, the worst day of the year for me is New Year's Day and Easter Sunday, when everything's shut, because it's boring. Unless I've specifically got something to do. I don't like them days when everything's dead and all quiet. Anyway. Jacqueline, did you? That's good. Yes. Yes. Well, my account hasn't been emptied, so I'm fine. There's still money there. Just as bloody well, actually. Bartos, I know how you feel about Club Card, but many supermarkets do that now. Morrison's, yeah, I know. There's like a camping outdoors shop near Bedford that me and my mate sometimes go to, and it's like they're the same thing. They have the price on the garment. Say you want to buy a coat for the winter or something. It's a certain price, but there's a smaller price on it if you have their card, their loyalty card, and it's a lot cheaper. So you have to sign up for you pay a few quid for their loyalty card, but it is worth it to get the cheaper price. So yeah, I prefer the days when supermarkets just had deals and anybody could just go in and get them deals. But obviously they're all making it their own now, so you've got to sign up to them. Do up, hello. Welcome back to UK. How long till you're back in the garage with Mondeos? I'm already back. I've already been working for a good 4 weeks now. I will show you what I've done today. Not today. Wednesday. One moment. If I can find it. I'm going to bore the flipping hell out of you now. Well, I have a lovely job for Wednesday. Here it is. I did not put all these videos together because I can't be bothered. Right, now I've got to work this out. This was my Wednesday's job, wherever it is. And also, this computer I'm using is a 2011 iMac, so it's very old. So you've got to give it a little while. So it's got a few issues, to say the least. That is a 2013 Audi A3 TDI. The actual air conditioning condenser was corroded at the bottom and leaking aircon gas. So this is basically front bumper off. This whole front panel has to come off, which includes your crash bar, which is there, and the whole radiator pack, the fan, the radiator, the whole caboodle. And that's the new aircon condenser fitted, which just slots in. The problem with this, it comes as a whole pack, and you've got to take the whole front end off to get it apart and get it out of the car. You'll notice for those who work on German cars, they can be ever so complicated. But if you actually, for those who actually know what they're doing on them, then they're well built in most cases. I don't know where I'll play this one anyway. There's only a few more. And there you go. The radiator slots into rubber bungs at the bottom of the housing. That was quite an aircon condenser. I mean, this is not the kind of job I do every day. We're now laying there, and there are two plastic clip assemblies which will now push in and clip in the back. And to release it, you've got to go around the other side and push the tabs in, which are pretty damn tough, to actually release the whole assembly. But I shall slot this back into place. I'll get that off. That particular Audi, it was a customer's car, and we had to replace the air conditioning condenser, which, like, obviously the whole front of the car had to come off. And also on the same car, I had to do the heater radiator because it was full of silt and it wasn't heating the heater up, basically. So I think this is the last clip. Slap all this back together, pipes, wires, and God only knows what. It does enough help if you've got like a little tray or table that you can sit it all on, because quite a lot of the pipes and stuff you need to connect up, you're going to need a gap between the radiator and the engine. So I'll push that in a little bit further forward, connect what I need up, and then these mounts here will clip onto the wings with a torque screw, and that'll be it. Yeah, I don't know. I might show the heat. I've got a heater rad one somewhere. I'm not too sure on the bloody computer where it is, but I'll come back to that later maybe. But yeah, that was kind of like an okay job, but it's okay if you know exactly how to unbolt everything and do everything. If you work for Audi, then it's no problem. But for me, it's something I don't do every day, so it took a little while. Peter, is this a finance channel? No, No, it was just a story. The whole reason behind the story was I just thought it'd be interesting to say that if I had not have contracted a proportion of my national insurance contributions out of the state pension back in the 1980s, I would get the full state pension when I retire. But because I did, I still get the full state pension. So you see what I mean? All the money that the 60 odd thousand pound that I got out of Serps, out of contracting out, if I had not contracted out, I would have not got a penny of that money. Or when I got the letter in 2004, because of the financial climate of the country in 2004, they were asking me to put the contracted out money back into the state pension. If I had done that and followed their advice, that money would have gone back to the state pension, and I would literally have to wait until I was 67 years old to claim my full state pension. But because I didn't put the money back, I get to keep the money. So I ended up with more than £60,000, which I was able to invest. So you see what I mean? If I'd made the wrong decision, I would have been £60,000 out of pocket. So I just thought it was quite an interesting story. It's nothing to do with financial or anything like that. It was just a story that I've lived through. I'm just saying that years ago, you know, people like me, we've lived through times where there were opportunities to be had that in a lot of cases they're not there now. You know, look at all the PPI, look at all the people that have benefited, who took out bank loans and stuff like that, and the personal protection insurance they were sold that apparently was missold, and they all made money out of it later in years later, didn't they? So it's things like that. It's just interesting stories sometimes. Dwayne, put it in freezer and drink through a straw. I'm not a straw drinker, unless it was a glass of Coke. No, I'd still drink that from the bottle, but it has to be a glass bottle because I ain't drinking Coke out of a plastic bottle. Neil, from Sheila. Hi, Alan. From Sheila from Philippines and Neil. Well, thank you very much, Neil. Let us know whereabouts in the Philippines you are. That would be nice. Because when I'm over there again, if you're anywhere near me, I may come and find you. We'll have a drink. So who knows? But anyway, good to hear from you. Kenny, kamusta? And will say, okay, Lang, I'm fine. Peter, you're a Bitcoin millionaire. I've never done Bitcoin. I've never done it because I'm not clever enough to understand Bitcoin, and I'm too scared to touch it. If I did know about it and looked into it, then here's a story. Okay, there was a young guy who worked with me, and he phoned up. This is what a minefield this is. He phoned up some company that were banging on about Bitcoin, and it turns out that once he made that phone call inquiring about Bitcoin, all he got for the next month was 1,000 phone calls of people ringing him, asking him to invest in their company. And he come down to, well, if Bitcoin is making that much money, why are you ringing me up to ask me if I want to do it? Surely you would just make your own millions, wouldn't you? It's because there's so many, avenues out there that are trying to scam you or trying to get your money, and you're never going to get a return on it. You've got to find the proper, legitimate, way of doing it, so to speak. Or otherwise you're going to get fleeced if you don't know what you're doing. You've really got to look into this properly. And it's something I've steered clear of. In all honesty, for those who actually jumped on the bandwagon and done it right, I think a lot of them have made a lot of money. But I didn't do that. Paul, hello. How's your week been? It's been good. It's been a good old week. Time has flown by quickly. It's been one of them quick weeks. And hope you're doing well too, Paul. Jacqueline, I had an endowment mortgage which didn't work out. I'll stop there because back in the about 1993, I had a mortgage with my first partner, and that was an endowment mortgage. And that's what we were all sold back then. We didn't know any better unless we were really savvy. That they all sold endowment mortgages. It was only years later that they came out and said, we need to change your endowment to a repayment because at the end of your term, there may not be enough money there to pay your mortgage off. So we all switched to repayment mortgages. Anyway, Jacqueline, I'll carry on. Yeah, I overpaid once I'd worked out the mortgage wasn't going down, so I changed mortgage, paid the whole mortgage off myself. Excellent. For those who can pay the mortgage off, when you're young and, in a short space of time, then that's great. But the trouble is, not everybody can do that. A lot of people, I don't know, I've not looked into facts and figures, but I guess a lot of people will let their mortgage run for the full term. And in my day, it was 25 years was like the average term. And 25 years is a long time. If you're in a relationship, that's all very well and good if you're both earning, and as long as your relationship stays together. However, if your relationship doesn't stay together, you're in a whole world of shit, because and especially if there's kids involved and you break up and it all turns to crap and everything gets sold off, your whole life is in total turmoil. And when I go back to like the video I made the other week, I was going to go through a bit of the turmoil I used to go through. I'll give you a little bit of an example. When I mentioned my first partner, which I'd been with for years and years, a long time we were together, and we broke up in 2004. By the way, it was all my fault we broke up. Everything was my fault because I was the one that kind of fell out of love with her. So, it just ended up we weren't getting on at all. And in the end, it ended up in an argument and we broke up. But that is kind of like the way things go. And we had a mortgage at the time. So I only come out of that with a small amount of money, which I subsequently blew. So that was a stupid thing to do, but money gets spent quite quickly. And then you find yourself on your own, and then you make your own way. But from 2004 up until 2009, I was basically I could say homeless, but it was not completely, because I met my next partner in 2005, but she was on benefits, you see. And as you may know, if you're on benefits, someone like me who's working, you can't live with someone who's living in like social housing. You can only stay there so many nights, so probably 2 to 3 nights a week at the maximum. If you stay any more than that, if you're caught, your person who's the social housing's in their name will lose all their benefits, and you will have a fraud case against you or something like that. So that was my life for nearly 5 years, ducking and diving, staying in social housing with the girlfriend at the time, and spending other nights living elsewhere or living in the back of my van from time to time. I've always had a job and I've always had money coming in. I've always managed to do that. But for a good 5 years, I always lived basically on the edge of society. It's, you know, when you're driving from like your girlfriend's house back to maybe your work where you're going to sleep in your van or something, and you see all the houses lit up and all, you think everybody's living in these houses, and it's like, well, why haven't I got a house? I've got nothing. I'm just here living in my van. You know, it's kind of depressing. That's why no matter where you are in life, you've got to have a goal. You've got to have something in your head leading you on to where you want to be. Otherwise, you'll do yourself in. So, and taking drugs and shit like that, that's not the answer. That'll just make things worse. But yeah, I was going to go down that whole story of explaining all that, but I don't. It doesn't seem like I really should, because it's just my life, and like all of you out there have got the same problems. I mean, you've all been through shit in your life. Most of you have. I bet a lot of you out there have got bloody good stories to tell. This is one of the good things about YouTube. When you start talking about real, genuine life stories, they're quite interesting in a lot of cases. I'd like to hear more of them. Despite there is a lot of stories on YouTube that are quite interesting. I watch a lot. Anyway, I'll try and bang through a few comments. BBS, I surrendered my endowment early and paid my mortgage off. Good for you. You've got to be, if you're in a position that you can actually do that, because the problem is when you've got a mortgage wrapped around your head, around your neck, it is a big worry. And I think somebody pointed out in one of the comments on my last video, if you're a single person and you've got a mortgage by yourself, then it's all down to you. If you've got plenty of money in savings, so if anything was to go wrong mortgage-wise, and you say you lose your job, you can carry on paying the mortgage for maybe, I don't know, at least you'd want at least minimum of 6 months, you know, cushion. Because if you've got no money in the bank and you lose your job and you've got a mortgage wrapped around your neck, you're in big shit. You need to find another job quite bloody quick. Because what are your options if you can't pay your mortgage? You're either going to have to sell it, or it's going to get repossessed if you don't do nothing. You've got to act on things. It's like getting a parking ticket. If you ignore it, it'll keep growing and growing until the bloody bailiffs come banging on your door. And what a £60 fine has now turned into £800 to £1,000 fine. There are a lot of things you just can't sit on. You've got to do it quick. John, hello. I thought you had to pay 38 years of national insurance contributions. No, it's 35. If all you need to do is Google it. How many years of national insurance contributions do I need to pay to get the full state pension? And it depends on how old you are when you were born. If you go to the government website, it will tell you if you're born between certain dates, then it will tell you whether you're on the basic state pension or the new state pension. But on the new state pension, it is 35 full years of national insurance contributions. After that, you can pay 50 years of national insurance contributions, but it won't increase your state pension, not a penny. There is a maximum you can get. Once you've got that 35 years and you've obtained the full state pension, you can't earn any more on your state pension unless you work after you retire and you don't claim your state pension. Then you could increase it. But I don't know, who wants to work after they've reached retirement age? Some do, I guess. And they might offset their state pension and not claim it. Then another 5 years, they might claim it, in which they probably get more. because they've put more into the system after they've retired. But like all these things, you have to get proper financial advice if you can find a advisor who's not going to screw you up the arse. Paul, Alan, I rent my house from a housing association. Rent is $680. It keeps going up every April. Everything keeps going up. At 4.8% and 52. When I reach 67, I am looking at $1,000 a month. How am I going to pay that on a state pension? I'll tell you what you do, Paul. I'll tell you exactly what you do. Hey! Hold on, we nearly had a catastrophe. The desk tipped up. Right, anyway, where was I? Right, I'm going to say this, Paul, but don't take this literally. This is just an idea. If you're renting, that's all very well. People rent for a whole host of different reasons. But as you get older, and if you find yourself in a situation where you're having to rent into getting close to your retirement age, and at your age, okay, 52, that's not that old. What I would do, I would save every penny I could. If you can't get a mortgage, take me for instance. When I got the mortgage on this house in 2009, I was 42 years old, okay, and I was on the level there where it was getting a bit late for me to get a mortgage because I was getting too old. The lenders won't lend you the money to get a mortgage if you're over a certain age, if they consider you're too old. So you've got to be careful there. But what I would do in your case, I would save everything you can. If you can invest in, I don't know, if you've got some kind of savings account where you can lock money in for 5-10 years and you can keep adding to that so you get a higher interest, I would save everything you can. If you're going to get the full state pension at this moment in time right now, you have got, it's round about just under £1,000 a month. Here in the UK, that's not a great deal to live on. When you take into consideration, you're going to have to pay the rent, which is going to take a huge chunk of your state pension each month. Then on top of that, you've got all your utility bills, council tax, food, clothing, everything else. Your state pension may well not cover all your expenses. And you're not alone. There's lots of people in this situation. What I would do personally, and like I'm saying, don't take me literally here, but I would be looking into renting a condo or something like that, or somewhere in another country. I would be checking out Thailand. I would be checking out Philippines. I would be checking out other places where the cost of living is a lot cheaper. You can rent somewhere and you can live not a great life, but you can live like a reasonable lifestyle. You can feed yourself, you can clothe yourself, you can go out a few times, but you're living on a much cheaper country. And if you can do that, and you can live in the sun in a warm climate when you get old, rather than living here where it's freezing cold. And when you think about it, your state pension, and if you've been saving as well, you've basically got savings in the bank, your state pension, and if you have any other pension to supplement your state pension, that would be a bonus. But even at the very, very minimum, if you had just your basic state pension, it is doable, just. But the prospects of living in this country right now are not great. It's things you've got to look into, because there's no point saying why am I, in 10 years time I could be paying a lot more on my rent and the cost of living is going to go up even higher. is my state pension going to cover it? And if it's not going to cover it, I'd be looking elsewhere. I would be looking in another country. And there's lots of people doing it. I would go on here on YouTube. There's lots of real people that are putting their stories out there. And if you work it right, you could probably end up retiring in a little flat or somewhere in another country, and it would work out nicely as long as you can finance your money properly and you know what it's going to cost you. So that's what I would personally be looking at, but I wouldn't be looking at setting up here in this country because it's just too damn expensive now. The rent, you know, renting. If I go back to the late 60s, the early 70s, here in this town, when the Oxmoor estate was all built up, it was a massive housing development, council houses. When my parents came to this town from London, they had the pick of any house they wanted, any council house. They were all empty. Now you can't get one for love nor money. But the price they charge for the rents always used to be cheap when they were council houses. Even when they went into social housing, they were cheap. I believe in the 90s, there were councils that were giving grants to people to get them out of social housing so they could buy their own house. They were giving them bloody good handouts. That's all gone away. So there were opportunities back then, but everything's dried up now. Landlords are charging more and more and more money, and you're not getting nothing for it. So that's what I would do, Paul. There is a ton of help out there. There's even if you, I haven't got a Facebook myself. I'll speak to you. If you want to work something out, it's because I've had first-hand experience of living in another country, so I can give some good examples of what the prices will be. And it all depends on how you want to live. But yeah, keep thinking. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Don't think that that's your situation and you're stuck and you're fucked, basically, because you're not. There will be a way out of it. So anyway, cheers, Paul. And hope I'm not going to pull the desk over again. You know, this I seem to have lost my mouse cursor. You know, I may have to swap computers in a minute. Oh, here we go. It's starting to work now. If it connects up. Sorry guys, there's a few technical problems here. I think I'm going to have to just get an actual plug-in mouse rather than this Bluetooth. Finally. Jacqueline, my national insurance contribution is coming up to 40 years. Yeah, well, you're in the same boat as me then, because I've put in 40 full years. And when I say full years, I mean 12 months out of every single year for 40 years. My employer has put in national insurance contributions. Nothing's been missed. There's not a month out of each year that's been missed. So the annoying thing about it is that after you've got the 35 years, the other 5 years make no difference. They're not going to give you any more money. There's just a maximum the government they're going to give you, and that's it. Doesn't matter how many years you put in. Anything over 35, all you're doing is contributing to other expenses for other people, basically. Andy, the various governments have also engineered, due to no increase in personal pensions, that private pensions end up as taxable. Yeah, well, they're gonna screw you whatever way they can get you, aren't they? So, unless you've got a very savvy financial advisor who knows ways around this sort of thing, then I really don't know what to say. Andy Rude Boyska, hello, good evening to you. Have a good one. Matty, lol, I meant the smokable herbs. Oh, so you're bonging the room. You remember the days of watching Ideal with Johnny Vegas? It's just that series used to flipping kill me. No one's ever watched it, if you ever get to see it, it's brilliant. It's just like Johnny Vegas. He's sat in a council flat in I think it's Manchester, and it's just a procession of people knocking on his flat door, coming around for their drugs, and it's just hilarious. Dwayne, I opted out in '89. I'm claiming my 20% after New Year. Being told I have to move it into another type of pension that I can pay into, but they're charging me £1,600. They're charging me £1,600 for this. I would look into that a bit more. I would find out, if you opted out, you need to find out where it is. Is it still making money? Has it been frozen? Because in my case, the money was in a frozen Barclays account. So unless I found it, which I had a company find it for me, I was never going to find it. I would have never got it. And the company that found it for me, they charged me, it was between £3,000 and £4,000 for them to set it up and start investing and making the money grow. So that £1,600 that you're saying there sounds about right, actually. They're not cheap, but if it's the right company, I was using Wealth Time, they're called now. It used to be Portal Direct, Portofino, and now Wealth Time. They are a really good company, and that they made the money grow. You know, Tyler here, he made a life-changing decision this morning as he lay there in bed, and I say, Tyler, you've had the whole night to think about it. Are you going to A, carry on laying there in bed, play your PlayStation, go out with your mates, or are you going to get out, get dressed and go into work today? And he said, I'm coming into work.
Oh, I'm not a kid anymore. So.
That was the correct answer. That was the correct response.
My childhood is over. I've got to start.
You've passed.
I've got to start grinding. That one.
You're finally getting to that age where responsibilities are more important.
The first answer I actually said to him this morning was, "Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I can't be arsed." But then I said,
Yeah, I know.
"Oh, screw it, I'll come because I need the money." It was pretty hard getting out of bed this morning. Though. My head's always throbbing. I've got like a ton headache in the back of my head.
Oh, can you get us the ice? Oh, I was going to. Let me forgot about something. Search this link. One moment. I've just got to. So it's this little interlude. I shan't be a minute. If this computer ever catches up.
That like is so warm.
Oh my God. I've just gone to my email and it's just completely taken a dump. Right. So, Ken, if you're listening, I've sent you a link to your email, which was quite difficult to do. Anyway, Christmas dinner. we'll see, but thanks anyway. Vindaloo. That's a curry in it. That's a hot curry. When are you back to the Philippines? I'm not too sure. It's going to be visits. I'm going to have to plan some visits and go from there. Once Tyler's sorted properly, then I can do what I like, basically. But I'm not too sure how long this is going to take. So I could be to-ing and fro-ing from England to Philippines probably for the next 2 years. So could be a bit longer, I'm not sure, but you know, it's his life. So, but I will be going back. I love it over there. It's brilliant. Andy, you can't put your 25% payment into another pension. Oh, yeah, you probably could. You don't have to tell them. You can withdraw. If you're over 55, you can withdraw your 25%, and then you can put it wherever you like. I'm sure you can. They'll willingly take your money if you're going to invest it in something. But you know what I sometimes think to myself. Hold that thought. You see, what is a pension pot? It's stocks and shares. It's a company wanting to make your money grow. There's more ways to put your money without putting them into a pension. Then, I mean, when you look at it, if you set up a pension, what happens when that pension, materializes, when it is, you can actually go into it? They're going to tell you, oh, yeah, you can only have £1,000 a month, because otherwise that's classed as income, and if you take any more out, you're going to be taxed heavily. Why bother with a pension when you can invest it in other places? Why not do it yourself? Stick it in a bank, in a high interest savings account. I think people get too hook up on pensions. And believe me that, when you get to pension age, wouldn't you rather be in control of your own money rather than the company saying, well, you can only take this amount out, you can only have this a month? It's like you're being, they're trying to advise you that you've got to stay within the law, how much money you receive. There are other ways where you're in control of your own money. Oh, hang on. I bet you didn't know you're on then.
Huh?
You were looking around.
I didn't notice you right away. Good evening, UK. I'm
But then,
sorry about last live video. Somebody says that my volume is so loud. I don't know. I don't know now if it's okay because last time I'm using the AirPod and I cannot how to say figure out if it's so high or But he said that my volume is louder than yours. I'm sorry about it.
well, it sounds all right from what I'm hearing.
Okay, that's good. Mhm.
So as you're on now, why don't you tell your little story of Hong Kong? And
Okay.
when you get back from Hong Kong, what did you do?
Abby, is that biography?
Is what?
Biography. Biography. How do you pronounce it?
Biography.
Yes. I will tell from start then. So I already left my parents when I was 16. And then I started working in a mall as a slave.
Why did you leave your parents when you were 16?
Because I believe that I don't have future in here. I cannot see my future in the farm. No, because it's not that I'm ambitious. It's just I don't want to be like them, grow old, and then same life, like same shit, different day. There's no changes. I don't like it. I want to involve myself. I don't like stuck in the same situation or whatever. So when I left them around 16, so I started working in the mall. And I'm not qualified because mostly over here, you have to be 18 years old, right? But then one of my friend in that mall, she is working in the office. So we how to call that? We cheat. She pamper all the documents and then change my year of birth. Blah, blah. So I get in. I passed the interview. I passed the exam. So I'm in. And then I'm working there for 2 years, I guess. And then after that, I went to Cagayan de Oro, start business there. And then after maybe a year or more, the grocery keep growing and growing, and I earn around gross income around 100,000 plus a day. And then I wanted, I don't know, it's like I was convinced from somebody told me, why you don't go abroad like this, like that. And I'm thinking about it. And that time I was 19 years old. So when I went to an agency, they wanna accept me because I'm so young. Most of the people who went abroad is around 35, 40, something like that. Mostly have family already in the Philippines. So the agency says, maybe back next year. So after I reach 20 years old, I go back to the agency again and say, Mom, I'm ready to apply now. And then she said, okay, we will find you a employer. And then it's scary. I'm like, it's difficult for me to get an employer because of my age. But and then around when I was 21 years old, so that was the first flight to Hong Kong. And then that's it. I work in there, pay my sister's college fee, everything, allowance, and then two of them finish college. And after that, maybe after 3 years, I managed to take her with me in Hong Kong. But that time, when you apply in Hong Kong, the placement fee is so high, like 85,000 pesos, plus the training fee, plus the agency, plus blah, 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 allowance in Manila. Maybe I spent around 150,000 pesos, like 2,000 pounds. And then because of poverty, I cannot I don't want to go back to the farm again. I don't want to work farm again. So I carry on until, you know, I start saving for myself, enjoying my life. Because before, when I start 2 years, most of my salary is sent to Philippines. All like I just keep some for my allowance for my personal needs. Like, you know, that's it. But 90% sent to the Philippines.
So the
And
point you're making is when you went to work in Hong Kong, you were sending a good proportion of your money back home to pay for your other family members to do their college courses.
4 years. I did that 4 years. Like 90% of my salary sent to Philippines. Oh,
But
I
that,
just
that
keep.
that's your culture out there.
Yeah, because we are younger, we keep talking about, hey, you help me when I start college, like this and that. So it's like giving time with each other, helping. You didn't experience that because you just two, right? And then you have your own life, like some she Haley work for herself, and also you have your own. So we don't. I don't know. I don't have. Maybe because we are a big family, we are 8 siblings, so we have to help each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got back from Hong Kong, uh, and then you decided to raise pigs.
Yep. I started 2 pigs, and then I sold the 2 pigs, and then I bought 4 pigs, and then I sold it, and then I bought eight, and then I keep five to make a sow, the mother pig, and that's it. I keep growing, and then before COVID, I earned good because my pigs is over 200 heads, so like 2,000 pound a month. So before COVID, money is so easy for me. It's like we go to the mall every Sunday or Saturday, we watch movie. I spend 200 pound. It's so easy. Like next week, I have another money again, so it's alright. Something like that with the family, with the whole the family.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's how life works out. It's
Mm-hmm.
a bit like the credit crunch in 2007. Life was
Mm.
one big party over here if you wanted finance. Then all of a
Mm.
sudden, boom, the door was shut.
Yeah.
It was over.
Some
It was the same with
mm,
COVID. The world changed.
you know, what after COVID, it's so stressful for me because I already have like a good life, right? I have a helper, I have a workers, I earn good every weekend, and then I can manage to trip around, not just Philippines but outside the country. I managed to go Singapore, Malaysia, and then like twice every year I travel abroad for holiday, 3 days holiday. And then when COVID start, it's like Ah, you know, when you have a million saving in a bank and then suddenly like slow down. So I was saying, oh God, you can take everything, but don't take nickel from me. That's only my prayer.
I've said it many times. Your life can be the same every day, and everything can be great. Then boom,
Mm, yeah, that's
everything
it.
changes in a split
Mm-hmm.
second. It's over, and all of a
That's
sudden,
give me a big lesson. You know why? Because that's I realize, you know, there's always up and downs in our life, like a wheel, right? Sometimes you're at the top, sometimes you're down. So now that I get older, I feel like money doesn't grow on trees, so I have to save for rainy days, something like that. It's
it
not
don't anymore.
okay.
It don't anymore. It used to.
Yeah. And if ever somebody out there wanted to know about our love story with Alan, we meet online last 2000, how did it, 2001, have we?
But
And
they
then
probably
we
don't want to hear
talking
this.
2000. For somebody will, 2001, 2021, and then we speak in internet for more than a year, and after that we meet in person, we meet in the eyes, and then that's it. So he said we can carry on talking and then see how life's going. And our love story is not like we are floating in honey. There's always struggle, right? There's always, uh, but that's normal. That will challenge us. That will, make us stronger. That's part of life anyway. Mm.
Yeah, it's
Just what I don't like you, Abby, sometimes. because you easily get distracted. I keep telling you, focus on goals, not with the obstacle, because you back out right away without, oh, I
Yeah,
cannot make it. Oh, I cannot make it. I never surrender in life, because if you are a loser, you never win. I've been to the bottom of, like not totally a beggar, but we are poor. So I managed to climb slowly.
yeah, but I have to point out here, generally speaking, Filipino people are happy people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I keep saying it. It's like if I was in the situation as some people that I have seen in your country, I would need a piece of rope to hang myself
For sure.
because there's so many people
Number
that,
one, you don't have patience.
well, it's not that. It all comes down to mindset and culture. A lot of
Um,
it does. Some of it does.
mhm.
Not always, but I think it's the Filipino way that a lot of them they're so used to either not having nothing or
Yeah.
losing
Mhm,
everything.
mhm, mhm.
It's
Mm.
ingrained in their culture now that they're not that worried about tomorrow. They know it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's
There
always
was,
hope.
I don't know if you heard me speaking to Paul earlier. He's saying about his rent when he retires.
Mm.
His state pension might not cover his rent, or it's going
Mm-hmm.
to take so much of his rent that he could be in a situation where he's not going to have enough money on his state pension to survive living here in England. And I'm saying, why not looking? Why not now? Save every penny you can, wherever you can, and then use your state pension and look into living in another country where it's going to be cheaper.
Save, but don't starve yourself because health is wealth.
Well,
You
yeah,
have a lot of savings, but you are ill. It's useless, right? You will spend all your money for your medication.
you are what you drink.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
A drunkard, a
Uh-huh.
whiskey drinking drunkard.
That's what I'm saying. You drank the poison and you expect somebody to die?
Yeah, but the poison in your country is
Hmm.
tandoori rum.
70% alcohol.
I shit you not. The supermarkets, everywhere you go, there's crates of tandoori. Everywhere you turn, there's tandoori rum because it's
Mm-hmm.
a karaoke drink.
Yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
If anybody's ever seen the video we made where we went to the tandoori rum bottle recycling centre,
Junk shop, yeah. Uh-huh.
there's just massive
Millions
area
of it.
full of all them parties, all them bottles of empty drink. So, anyway, it's nice of you to drop by, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
I would say hello to the viewers.
Hi everyone, especially to I cannot. What my favorite is Steve Perry. He's not here. He's not here.
We've got Gary. Hi, Gary.
Gary.
Gary's saying hi.
Ah, okay. Hi, Gary Jones.
We have Luke. Hi, Luke. Have you got your old job back? I'm lucky. I've got a very nice boss.
Mm-hmm. He give you a map, right?
He just told me I've got to work the first month pushing the broom and mopping on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to start from the bottom.
A lackey. That's what a lackey is, like doing the menial jobs.
Uh-huh.
Hey, lackey, go and sweep the yard. Lackey. Tyler.
Yes.
Vic. Oh my giddy aunt. Vic saying, "Oh my giddy aunt." That's a saying.
No,
Like,
Abby, I cannot read. You know why? I cannot read small letters now.
well, you want to get a pair of Specsavers like me.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you know what I like about these as well? They go dark when you go out in
Yeah.
the sunshine.
Uh-huh.
a marvel of technology, huh?
Yes, Luke, he's just said he's been back working at the garage. Right, Luke, Jacqueline's just told you, so you have to pay attention.
Jacqueline is #1 fan. She knows everything about Alan, I guess.
You see, I've got my Dipolog City t-shirt on, which comes
I
down
thought
to my ankles. It's that long.
Yeah, I was asking, is that Cagayan de Oro t-shirt? Sounds
Yeah,
little.
I
Looks
have
little.
to be honest with you here. Dipolog.
It's a pretty city.
Yeah, but it's nice, but it didn't tick my box
Why?
because it's I don't know. I preferred Pagadian, to be honest with you. I
No,
thought Pagadian
no,
was
no,
better.
no, 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 no. I don't like Pagadian. The Jolly Badias
Do
ice.
you know why I like Pagadian? Because it was literally law over there that you must not wear a crash helmet on your motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
I just want to point that out to all the viewers who say, Alan, please put your crash helmet on or your brains are going to fall out. In Pagadian City,
No helmet.
you mustn't wear a crash helmet. So they can see who's riding the bike and who's mugging you. I like
Yeah.
Where's the tea towel?
Plus, I like my Bob the Builder hat. Anyway, shall we carry on? FS, great to see you, Alan. Well, thank you, FS. I see you got your racket in your hand.
Because I saw mosquito on the top of my head.
Luke is saying, cheers, Jacqueline. That's fantastic. Even though Jacqueline's just told you off, Luke, to pay attention. Now, if your mate Steve Perry was here, he'd have put a timestamp on already.
Yeah. I will say, Alan, you're so delayed now for this.
Oh, we've got a car question. FF was quoted 750 for a Mondeo cam belt and was told it takes 2 full days to get it done. Oh my God. Having difficulty finding an honest garage to do my timing belt. I'm in southeast London near Greenwich. You can always bring it to me. I'm back here. If you find Steve's car sales in Oakenbury, Huntingdon, I'll do your cam belt. And
how much is the charge?
$649.99. No, we would do it cheaper than 750. That's for bloody sure. And it wouldn't take 2 days. Half a day, it'd be done. Because I know how to fix Mondeos. I know how to do Mondeo cam belts. Artists and cars. Hope you have the JD. Yes, I do.
Is that the JD from Chris Bill? He gave you a JD last year, right? Christmas gift.
I was given this. I was given this by. This is donated to me. This was put in the cupboard before Christmas last year.
From Chris. Is that Chris Bill?
It was still in the cupboard when I got back. Later, nearly. H. Henry. Bye, Alan and Tyler. It's bye.
Maybe the typo.
AT. Good to see you, Alan. I want to come and see you one day, but I'm in Cyprus. Oh, well, you're nice and warm over there, I guess. So you best probably stay where you are. But thanks for the sentiment.
Nobody wanted to see me in Mindanao? I can give you a free balut.
I actually think that there's quite a few people in Mindanao that are like foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in all the time I was there, we never actually met anybody that we didn't stumble across, if you know what I mean. We never planned to meet anybody.
Mm.
So, but I think maybe next time I will do. I'll go and meet someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We
Go and have
go
a quick-
both.
So, I think a lot of them just keep themselves to themselves. They don't really. But you know, from a day to day, as you go along, it was hard to even come across another foreigner.
Mm.
We met a few people, didn't we? Just off, you know, just
Yeah, in
run into
town.
them.
Yeah,
sort
in
of
town.
thing. Great to see you. Well, thank you, Annabelle. What's Serps money? Well, Serps is state earnings related pension scheme. That's what it is. That's what the Serps means.
They always change the name. Why is that?
There's different names for it. It's called contracting out of state
Oh.
pension. Or they used to originally they called it Serps, state
Mm.
earnings related pension scheme. So when you had a state pension, it was called Serps. That's what it was called. Your state pension is Serps. And you could contract a proportion of your state pension out and put it in a private pension. That's what it was, called contracting out of Serps. They've stopped that, by the way. That's all gone. Them days are over. Ryan, just joined. We'll be working as a mechanic again, bud. Well, good for you. Oh, John, how's Tyler doing in the garage? He's doing actually okay. He's not, I wouldn't say he's learnt a great deal at the minute because he's only been there a few weeks. But today I taught him a thing or two. I taught him, we had a courser in and one of the back brakes was binding quite badly. And I got him to take the drum off and I showed him how every aspect of the rear brake shoes, and it was a seized up handbrake lever. So we took the shoe off and freed off the handbrake lever and put it all back together. I got him to take the rear drums off a Ford Focus Mark II, clean the shoes up, check the wheel cylinders for leaks and that they're not seized, and clean the linings up, clean the drum up, make sure there's not a lip in the drum, adjust the brakes up on the ratchet and put it all back together. So he's done all that. So he's learned a thing or two about brakes today, well, drum brakes, that is. So bit by bit, I've been teaching him like the routine of going around a car, how to, like an MOT tester, you will go around a certain routine so you don't miss nothing. You will follow a pattern. So it will take time, but I mean, we're getting there. Jacqueline, I was on my own with a child and it took 28 years to pay the full mortgage off. Well, that's a classic case. Huh?
Congratulations, Jacqueline.
Back in my day, I keep saying back in my day, I'm still bloody, I'm not dead yet.
That's the sign of old age, Keep talking about the past. So it's all right.
Yeah,
I'm also like that now.
Yeah, but you know what you understand is people like me at my age. I'm 57. At my age, I have lived through the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. The 90s were like called back in the day. They were the good days.
Yeah, exactly.
So we people my age, we have lived through certain times where we've also seen an awful lot of change.
Back in my day, people my age.
You know, when I left school, there were no mobile phones.
Wow.
There wasn't.
Me too.
The only person I saw with a mobile phone was a few years later. They had a flipping great big battery with a bloody handset on it, and he used to carry his car tray. He used to carry it around, this great big brick thing. And when we got mobile phones, that's all the phone could do was make a phone call. But we thought it was great back then. I remember the first pocket calculators, the Casio calculators that came out with the red digital display. Then the internet and everything's like spiraled from there. And technology has taken off, but it never used to be like that. There were no computers, laptops, and all that. They just didn't exist. The only way we could
Telegram.
make a phone call when I was a kid was with a bloody red phone box across the street. So, anyway, I was going to ask you another question in a minute, Ken.
Is that math? No, I'm slow in math. Sorry.
Well, it's not a mathematical question.
Oh, okay, good.
I overpaid to play catch up. I never overpaid on my mortgage. I didn't do that. Although that probably makes good sense if you can do that. Because if the one thing you want to get done in your life, if you have a mortgage, is get it paid off. Because once that's paid off, you're free. You've then got your own money, everything you earn. You can do what the hell you like with it. Yeah, Ken. Let's.
Yeah, though.
I know this makes zero contribution to the UK because nobody over here is going to give a shit, and it's not going to make any difference to anybody over here because you're in a different country.
Doesn't make your life better.
Yeah, no, it's just a completely different environment over there.
Yeah.
But your house, right? How did you get it built? How much did it cost?
When I left Hong Kong around 2016, and then I was like, I wanted to have at least small, comfortable for me and Nicole. I don't really dream of big one. Because over here, this land was given from my father, right? And then mostly family over here like this, like they will give the land to their kids, and then the kids will start building their own house. So it depends on your budget. If you can produce a big house, 2 story, 3 story, it's up to you. And then some people will build a small house, and then if they have additional income on the next year or after a few years, they will have extension, and then extension again, and then make it pretty, put fence, and then make a fence around. That's it. We don't have like in your country that we pay. I have here in town or a bigger city, but mostly here in province, you build your house according to your budget. So if you can provide a big house, you can pay for that. You can, build a big one. Then it's up to you. But if not, then you can start a small one, like 2 rooms, small living room, something like that.
What I'm trying to say is, over here, this isn't always the norm, but generally speaking, if you want to buy a house here in England, you will go to an estate agent and or look through the papers at properties for sale, and you will buy a house. That's not always the case. Some people do buy a piece of land and then they will build a house or something on it. But beware buying a piece of land that what you can actually build on it. But where you are, it is quite often the case that people will buy the land first, then they will build on it, and they can build a shack, they can start building a house, and then just carry on as once they've got money to do it. If they run out of money, they'll just leave it and just carry on building once they've got more money to carry on building it. But you see, in the Philippines, land seems to be the big issue. People always strive to have a piece of land of their own. Over here, we don't talk about having a piece of land. We talk about owning a property. Well, over where you are, it's I own a piece of land, and once you own that land, then you can do what the hell you like with it. You build whatever you want on it. There's not all these planning. I don't know. When it comes to if you buy a piece of land, what can you build on it? Do you have to get planning permission? I guess you do in some places, but in the provinces and that, you can probably put whatever you like on it. In most cases.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Depend on your budget. If you can make a big house, you have a lot of savings, then you can do it. But if not, then you slowly start from, post, and then the roof, and then the walls, and then the floor, and then that's it. Slowly, and then next, maybe because most people around here are farmers, so next harvest we're gonna paint our house. Next harvest we're gonna buy this. Next harvest we're gonna buy whatever appliances, aircon, whatever, make yourself comfortable.
You see, I think a lot of Filipinos,
Hmm.
even though many of them have a meager budget, if they have a little piece of land which is theirs, they can have whatever that living accommodation they want in it, even if it's just like a tin shed or a little wooden shed. You know, they know that that's theirs and that's their home, and they can live there, and they're quite happy with that in a lot of cases. They haven't. You've got to pay. You have to pay some kind of land rates, do you, once a year?
Yeah. At the moment, I told you last month, right? Somebody came over here and then he said that I have to separate this house, and then I said I haven't received the title yet, but I already have the blueprint, so that's gonna be transferred under my name, and then this is gonna be registered the municipal hall in Maramag, and then I'm gonna pay a yearly tax around 700 peso, I guess. And then he said, you know what is so funny? Because after we talk about it, and they said, Mom, if this house is all totally in your name, because at the moment is I how to say that it's pending because I haven't have the land title of this house. So I said, and then he said, Mom, if you have this in your under your name, you can loan 1,000 peso from it. I said, no, I don't need it. It's just I just want to make it safe because my parents are old now, and then my siblings already have their own family. So it's time for me to separate this from my father's name, and that's it. So for safety in the future.
So basically, I've just looked at that. You're looking at £10 in English money per year land tax. £10. Do you know what? Do you know there's no council tax or poll tax over there, is there?
No. That's what I'm saying. You've been here for 10 months, right? You never see anyone coming over here, or maybe a letter. I didn't receive any letter that you have to pay this, you have to pay that. Besides the electric bill and the internet, right? They will just come over here and collect the internet,
Yeah.
monthly internet.
And by the way, over here, everything is done pretty much direct debit. It
Right.
just comes out of our bank accounts. Where you are, to pay your electric bill,
You have
pay
to go to
your
the office.
internet. You literally have some guy come round on a motorbike, and he'll knock on your door and he say, "Yeah, I've come for your electric bill." They'll give you a
Yeah.
piece of paper of what you owe. Then you literally have
That
to
is-
go to the bloody building.
They will read the meter. They will read the meter and then calculate how much I have to pay the consumption for a whole month.
You don't pay it online, do you?
No.
I think you can. If you
You
look
have
into
you can transfer that to they have also the GCash, and then they have the bank account, but I don't rely on that. I don't trust it. I want to pay and then receive the receipt. That's it. Make sure.
in most cases, you just go to an office and pay it,
Yeah,
like they did over here in the 1970s.
just like that.
Everything is like quick and convenient when it comes to paying over here now. But I kind of like it how it's done over there, because it's slow and inconvenient. But there again, when I was over there, I had all day to do nothing anyway. So what did it bloody matter?
And you said about everything is through internet, right? Your bills, everything, even your salary. You said your payslip is in internet. I said there's no privacy. Seems like you are already naked. You give all, let the people know what is in your life. It's like, it's not that somebody will hack your account or whatever. It's like, you don't have anything to hide anymore. They know how much your salary. They know how much you earn every month or what. Because you said you have to go online and check your salary statement like this, like that. I said, what? Why do you have to know about your salary?
Well, I mean, it's the bank obviously know if anyone, you know.
Yeah.
The problem is all your information is kind of protected. Your real sensitive information, like your bank balance and stuff like that. But it's all everything over here is kind of geared towards being simplistic. So all our utility bills, I don't have to worry about them anymore. They're just automatically paid through direct debit. They're taken every month, done, all done, and I ain't got to worry about it. Go back some years. If I go back to the 90s, every month I got paid, I literally had to write out a physical check for a letter I received from, say, electric board or water board, and I would have to put the check in an envelope with their invoice and send it off to them. And that's how we used to do it. But it was a pain in the ass. Now it's so easy. It's the same when we want to buy something in the shop. We've got our card and we just swipe it. If it's under a certain amount, we can just pay by Wi-Fi with our cards, or even our phones now with Apple Pay. It's so quick and convenient. But the trouble is we're losing the value of actual cash, because I like to have cash, proper notes in my pocket. When I go out over where you are, although they have PDQ machines, it's like it's not really the norm. Maybe in the cities, but you know, in the provinces and that, everything is cash. And I like cash. I like to hand over the real cash. I don't like to have my money as just total digital money. You don't even see the money anymore over here. It's just swipe, 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 and that's it.
How can I have my exit? Because the duck's already awake.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're excused.
Thanks for having me here. And then I just want to say goodbye to your subscribers.
Okay. Bye.
Have a good evening. Love you.
Love you. See
Bye-bye.
you later.
Yeah, okay.
Go and fix that.
How to exit?
I don't know.
What? Let me see.
Maybe. Oh, that's it. Nice. You found the exit button then. I will run through a few more. Well, how long have we been running? 1.5 hours. I don't want to go on for too long tonight. Kenny, yeah, work your guts out to pay your house off. Then the government will take it all off you if you go into a care home. Kenny, you have really touched on a sore point there, because I have been noticing all the care homes that have been built up lately. It's even in this town of Huntingdon. Everywhere I go, there's a new care home being built up around, all to swindle your money out of you. Yes, I know. It makes me sick to see all these care homes, knowing what the deal is. And it may be all very well for some of these people that are going into these care homes, but I don't want to end my days in some well, it's probably not going to be a stinky care home. It's probably going to be a very nice care home. But it's going to be very nice because they're taking a shed load of your money each week off you. They're taking all your savings away from you, and everything you've worked for in your life, they're taking off you to pay for your care when you're in your later years. I would rather die in a third world country than go into one of these care homes. I do not want to end up in that shit. I really don't. Because it's all about this now. It's not about caring for the elderly. It's about getting your money off you. And Kenny, you've said it all. Frank, hello. I had previously asked you whether the PCV valve can cause oil use in the Mondeo Mark III petrol. Can you tell me why many others say it also affects the emission value? It possibly could if it was buggered, but I don't think it's going to affect it that much. If you're getting blue smoke coming out your exhaust when if you get the engine to operating temperature and you hold the revs at 2,500 to 3,000 RPM, if you're getting blue smoke coming out the exhaust, that won't be the PCV valve. That will be the piston rings or the valve stem oil seals, one of the two. I mean, you can go down the whole route of removing the inlet manifold and changing the valve just to satisfy yourself. But I've gone through so many of these Mark III Mondeos with a 1.8 and 2 litre Duratec engines, and many of them are burnt oil because the engines are just worn. That's just the way it is. So by all means, change the PCV valve, satisfy yourself, and see how it goes. But I don't honestly think it's going to cure your problem. And what some people might do, rather than scrap the car, is they will put a new catalytic converter on the car. It will probably then get through the next MOT. But a year later, the oil that's gone through the exhaust will probably destroy that cat. And the following year, you'll have the same problem. But at least you'll get another year's motoring out of it. That's the best I can tell you at the minute, Frank. Vic, my house was valued at 27,000. Mine is pension paid for it been married 48 plus. Vic, you'll have to give a little bit more context to that. You know, when you say your house was valued at 27,000, when was that valued? Is that back in the 1990s? Because a £27,000 house back in the early 90s would be worth a shitload more than that now. K, Wonga cash, Wonga loads of Wonga. K, Chucky. Paul, you are so right. Well, I'm not always. I'm mostly wrong, Paul. Actually, I'm mostly wrong, but sometimes I make a good decision. We must all have a goal to aim for because it's very easy to get in a rut. Love you. Well, thank you, Paul. That's very good of you. Yeah, it is. You've got to have something in your head. You've got to have like, this is what I intend to do. This is what I'm aiming for. If you're just getting up every day and in a vicious cycle of doing the same thing with no outlet, you're going to drive yourself mad. You've got to have something in your life that you need to work towards. It makes life worth living. It gives you more drive. It gives you more ambition to actually get to where you want to be. Hello, Kay. Sit by a pool in the sun in the Philippines. Glass of Chinzano and your own body weight in balut. Be honest, I'll tell you something, Kay. The people who come and eat the balut, I mean, I'm not talking about older people. I'm talking about young people, a lot younger, a quarter of my bloody age. They'll come along and their boyfriend and girlfriend, they'll get off and they'll sit there and they'll crack an eggie and they'll eat the balut and put the vinegar on it. And it's like, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, they really enjoy that. And when I eat the balut, it's okay with a bit of spices and vinegar on it, but it's not the kind of thing I'd go out and do. But it's more of a culture thing over there. Balut seems to be a big thing. Mind you, the last balut I had, I have to say, it weren't that bad at all. The first one I ever took, I was dreading it, but it's not that bad. Once you eat a few, and I don't know if you remember that one of the earlier videos I made, there was all them like teenage girls. They all come to the stall in Don Carlos and they were all eating a balut, just like a social thing. It is great. It's such a good vibe. Cappy. Cappy. Do you know what? If that's Cappy, it's like Cappy. It's like I made a joke of this because it was Ken's dad who said to me one day, because he doesn't speak really much English, and I don't speak his language either, but he goes to me, he wanted to offer me a coffee, and he goes, Cappy, 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 Cappy. And I sort of like took the piss after that. I'm always going, Cappy, Cappy. as do you want a coffee? Coffee. Vic, between me and the wife, pension 684 a month. Power. Is it time for a new computer? I don't like to let things go. If it still works, it just keeps losing connection with the bloody mouse for some reason. The keyboard's Bluetooth as well, but that seems to be all right. It's just I think it's a mouse problem. So I think it's the mouse more than anything. But it's not that. I'll tell you what the problem here is. I use this computer. This is the God honest truth. I only wear my specs when I need to wear them. This is a 27-inch iMac, but it's 2011, so it's well out of date. Here, this one here, that's Dubai, by the way. It's that laptop there is a M1 MacBook Pro, which is it's about 2 years old. That cost me a shitload of money, and I don't really use it that much. I will use the MacBook Pro if I have to do some quick editing on a video because it's really bloody fast. This thing, however, this computer here is a i7 quad core, and I thought it was going to be all singing, all dancing, video fucking eating machine, but it's not. It's bloody useless. I think the guy who had it before me killed it. So it's got no guts in it anymore. But I use it because it's got the big screen. I like the big screen because the words, you know, like on your banner there where it says power, is it time? I can see it. But on the laptop, because the lettering is so much smaller, I can't see it very well. So when I use the laptop, I have to put these babies on so I can see what the bloody hell I'm reading. So that's a sign of progress. Anyway, thanks, Power. $1 million peso man. Do you know how much a million is in pesos? It's around about, off the top of my head, 1 million pesos is around about, I think it's about 14 to 15,000 pound. I'm going to check. 1 6 zeros. Well, it's saying here, I mean, this app could be wrong. This could be totally wrong. But 1 million pesos is 13,502,000 pound. But don't quote me on that because I don't trust the app. Sometimes I use two apps of money converters and they give me different readings. So yeah, you'll have to sort of like take that on face value. Andrew, you're better off having all your money in cash or gold. I've heard that gold is probably a way to go. In a safety deposit box, so when you retire, you can claim housing benefit and keep your pension. Do you know what my sister used to tell me? I had an uncle. He's sadly died now. But when he lived with his mum, it was my dad's mum. He lived with her all his life, and they lived in a council house. And when my dad's mum died, they allowed him to stay in the council house that he was living in. It was a 3-bedroom council house, but they allowed him as a sole tenant to stay in that house because he had lived there for so long. But what my sister has told me, the council, some members would go round there and they would check everything about him. They would ask him they would literally go to his house and ask him all these questions and check around to make sure he never had any hidden money. Bastards, absolute bastards. Because he was on benefits. He used to have a little job, but after he lost his job, he was just living on benefits. but in his defence, he did have a few mental health problems. So it was just the way he was treated by the council was not very nice at all. It was like they were trying to find something deliberate to actually maybe get him out of the house. Do any of you remember out there? It's probably the same now, because I know a little bit here and there about benefits. If you're living on benefits and you are living in social housing and you want to get an exchange, and there was a time, I don't know if they're still doing that now, but the council or whoever, they would give you your benefits. Say you wanted to go from social housing into a landlord who was renting their house privately, but they were allowing social housing people to live in a private house. The council would pay the money to the person who is on benefits into their bank account. So that person on benefits would then have to get that money and pay it themselves to the private landlord. And I think it was done deliberately so that some of these people that are on benefits wouldn't pay the rent. They would spend the money elsewhere because they've been given this money. They would think, well, they might think, well, if I don't pay the rent, I'll still be able to live there. But it seems to me it was a way that the council could say, well, if you don't pay that money we give you to pay the rent to that private landlord, you've defaulted on your repayments now. We're going to get you out. We're not going to pay you no more benefits because it's all your own fault. You didn't spend the money on the rent. And I think that happened quite a lot to a lot of people. So I don't know if that's still done now. It was something I come across during the time I spent knowing people on benefits. Dirty, underhanded tricks is what I call it, because they know that some of these people have maybe mind-bending substances they like to take, which is more important than paying the rent. So they know how they can get them off there. They can alleviate themselves of these people. They're no longer my problem because they made themselves intentionally homeless. Oh, we could really go down the fucking rabbit hole here, couldn't we? But there again, you've got to think to yourself, some of these people, if they're not paying the rent with the money they're given to pay the rent, then it really is their own fault. But it's kind of like temptation put in your way. Anyway, Graham, buy gold and Bitcoin. Darren, hi Alan, welcome home. I love your chats. You're a genuine honest bloke. You're a wealth of knowledge. Well, I know a thing or two. I've been around for a long time. I'm not always right. I'm probably wrong more than I'm bloody right, but it's always worth having a conversation about something, isn't it? So it's like a 50-50 chance whether you're going to get any useful information out of me, but well, just have a glass of whiskey and don't listen to it too much. Don't take too much from what I say. I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life. I've made some good ones as well. The trouble is, years ago, the right decisions that a lot of us made, we never knew they were right decisions back then until later on in life. It's only like years and years later you realise that, yeah, that was a good decision to make. Artisan Cars. I work with a landlord in Accrington, and we are currently working on a property that will be £1,000 per calendar month. That's nothing. That's nothing. There's rents that are way higher than that. But I'll keep going back to that point. Rent used to be the cheaper option. If you didn't want to get bogged down or tied down to a certain place, I mean, there's many reasons why people don't want to buy. One of the reasons is the state fucking owns you if you own a house. You're saddled with this place they can take off you if you're a naughty boy. You know, so you've got to keep your nose clean if you have assets. But, you know, getting away from if you're a criminal or God knows what. But rent used to be the cheap option. If you were, say you were moving around the country, working from place to place, and you know you're doing 6 months here and a year over there, different places, it probably wouldn't be a good advantage to buy a house. So you would rent wherever you lived. People have many different reasons for renting. But the problem is now, rents have gone up and up and up and up and up to the point, literally, where in a lot of cases, the rent is more than someone else's mortgage. However, don't quote me on that either, because the price of houses nowadays is so astronomically bloody high that, you know, do you know what? That if I never had this house here, there is no way in flipping hell I would ever get a mortgage, even if I was like 20 years younger. I would not be able to afford it. So many houses now, even the new build, they're so expensive. And you know that there's deals out there. There's some houses that have been built down the bloody road, and they are the deals where you have to pay so much mortgage and you have to pay so much rent, but you can never own that house. Even if you pay off your share of the house, you will always have to pay the rent, because it's written in the contract that you can never own the whole of that house. So you're fucked. I would not even entertain a place like that. I think it's wrong, because they've got you by the balls every way they fucking want to. So when you look at these different shares and equity shares and that sort of thing, you've got to look into what the real deal is. You know, most of us, if we want to buy something, we want to buy it and we want to own it. We don't want to fucking own like part of it and then have to pay a fucking subscription for the rest of our lives, for the remainder part of that house. You know, the whole purpose of buying a house is to own it outright, not to own like 80% of it and then having to pay 20% rent to some greedy landlord, is it? So I would be, you know, if you're looking at houses and that have got shares in them and stuff like that, equity shares, I would look into the details. Anyway, Paul, thank you for advice, Alan, much appreciated. Paul, I'm serious though, I really am. There are many, many people. I mean, look at you, okay? You run around Glasgow. You film lots of stuff over there. I've never been to Glasgow. I've never been to Scotland. I'd love to go there. But you make some bloody good videos, I have to say. I've watched quite a few of your videos. And so you get out there, you're out and about, you know what you're doing. You've got your channel here on YouTube. All you have to do is look what other people are doing and see what their circumstances are. I know many people here on YouTube, they won't give you the full story. They'll only give you a half-hearted story, and you'll never get like the real, how much was this? What did that cost? How much money did you start with? And all that sort of thing. They'll never let you know that. But in most cases, you'll get a kind of an idea of how they did it, how they live in where they are now. And I'm telling you, on the full British state pension, you can do it in another country and live in the sun. And you've got to remember, you're still quite young at 52. That's not old. So in another 10 years' time, you'd be what, 62? You're still young. 62 isn't that old. Not in today's, you know, day and age. If you save up everything you can in the next 10 years, so you've got a nice pot behind you, or invest that money so you can make it grow as best you can, get some professional advice from some advisor who's not going to rip you off, you've got plenty of time to sort this out. And then when you get your state pension, and believe me, when you get a lot older, you probably won't want to be freezing cold over here. You'll want to live in a place where it's nice and warm, you know, where you're not going to get arthritis and all that. You know, we're all going to suffer from it in this bloody cold weather, and especially the way the bloody energy costs are going. So I would do a lot of research and watch other people what they're doing, and then look further into it. Take your time. There's no rush, and know that there is another life out there. Look, I'm looking for another life out there, you know. But in time, I will make it. I will get there, hopefully. Burbiz, change the battery. I did. They're brand new, bloody. All right, they're at the pound shop, but they are actually new batteries. I changed them yesterday. There's something funny about this bloody mouse. It's I think it's getting old. It just needs a new one. Computers are a pain in the ass. Yes, you can spend an entire day trying to do one thing and get absolute. Well, even if you complete it, the whole day's gone. I've been there. Jacqueline, that's it. Alan's broken his mouse. This is a very, very old. I will say this computer's still going. I've had it apart numerous times. This was one of them computers that the graphics card took a shit. I heated it a number of times, took the motherboard out, heated the graphics card, brought it back to life, and it eventually died altogether. I then bought a graphics card off eBay for 50 quid, put it in, and it's been as right as rain ever since. But I won't get rid of the computer because it still works. Have another drink, mate. You don't need a mouse. That's right. All you need is a bottle of JD. I like your thinking. Oh, Steve. Ken was saying you are her top man. Good evening, Steve, by the way. You've missed her now. She's gone. That's probably because I'm so late. You haven't given your timestamp either. But yeah, Ken was saying you are her number one man. So there you go. Have a good one. Darren, broke. Kenny, Starmer doesn't pay any tax on his pension. Oh, yeah. Keir Starling. Aaron, good evening to you, Aaron. Alan, how are you doing? How long you on tonight? Is it going to get messy? The trouble is, I hardly ever drink, and when I do drink, especially this stuff, flipping heck, it's like after a little while, it kind of I start to slur when I speak. I will never ever get drunk to the point of paralytic. It's not going to happen, but I will start getting to the point where I'm sort of like not really with it. So I didn't want this live stream to last too long tonight, so I might call time shortly. It's going on for bloody hell. Hang on. I was about to squint then. Now I put my Superman glasses on. Boing! 1 hour, 59 minutes and 6 seconds. So I shall probably call time shortly. Little Otters PS4 videos. Hi Alan, any ideas how I can start my Ford Focus Mark II 1.8 TDCi? I had problems after changing my left hand side engine mount. Change fuel filter housing, MAF and MAP sensor, air filter 2. Well, I think the answer's in your fuel filter housing because that'll be why you've got air in the system. And from what I've known, if you get air in the system on them cars, they're a bitch to get started again. All I can say, it could be difficult. You might have to fill the fuel filter housing full of fuel. What I would have normally done, the pipe that comes from the fuel tank and goes into the high pressure fuel pump on your engine, not that pipe, but the one coming out that goes to your fuel rail, I would pull that off and put a suction pump on it so you can suck the fuel out. And when you start getting fuel sucking out of it, then put the pipe back on and crank it over. But them engines, once you get air in the fuel system, like changing the fuel filter or something like that, they're an ass to get going again. So good luck. I'm sure there's a few videos on YouTube showing this, but you've got to get the air out of the system. Kenny, Tyler went to the fields a boy and came back a man. Well, he certainly has lived a life out there. He's opened his eyes to a whole new world, and it literally is another world away from England. It's so different. The mindset of the people out there is totally different to over here. So yeah, it's an experience that he will never forget throughout his entire life. So I'm glad I put him through it, even though he's lost a year of work, but now he can try and play catch up. But that's what life is. It's about living. And I keep saying this because I've been through life, and I've been in relationships. I've been through circumstances where things change. All of a sudden, something changes, and your whole life is completely changed, different, and you're somewhere else, and you're doing something different, for better or for worse. Usually for the worse, but you carry on and you learn all these experiences and what you have to do and how to move on and keep your head above water. Mirek, hello from Shirebrook. Well, hello Mirek, good Saturday evening to you. Chris, hi Chris. I am interested in your thoughts on Stellantis closing the Vauxhall production plant in Luton with the loss of 1,100 jobs. Do you think the government will do it? No, they won't do a U-turn. They don't give a fuck. They won't do a U-turn. They don't care. They do not care. They don't care about jobs being lost. They will just come out and say everything's great. They're doing the hard work, aren't they, to make the country and get it back on its feet. Yeah. Keir Starmer, I'm fucking doing the hard work. I was left with a 22 billion black hole, and I am sorting it the fuck out by paying the train drivers and all my union buddies more money. But I'll take it off the pensioners, and I'll keep paying foreign aid, and I'll keep wasting the money in everywhere possible about where it fucking should be. No, they won't care. I wanted to give Keir Starmer the benefit of the doubt. I really did. Knowing full well that he's a communist, and it has been pretty damn clear now of what he is, and he is detached totally from bringing the country and trying to make it more prosperous. He's hitting businesses. He's hitting everybody. Look at all the farmers. Look what he's trying to do to them. Oh my God, you've only got to go and, if you look at GB News, then they'll give you like a picture of what's going on. There's no point going to BBC, is there? Because they're all on board with it. Oh my God. Anyway, Mirek, how do you feel in UK after Philippines? Do you know, when I got back here, it felt like I'd been away for a weekend. That's what it felt like. Literally. But I'm kind of like sad a bit that I miss it. But it is all for the greater good because I have a plan. That's the thing. I have a plan of what I'm going to do. And I'm not knocking the UK because this country is where I grew up. This is my homeland. And this is where I make my money. And this is the life I know. I want to retire when I get a bit older, and I want to fully retire in the Philippines or out that way. I don't think the way this country's going, I want to stay here. You know, this was once a lovely place, a lovely country. I enjoyed living here most of my life. As long as I don't watch the news, do not watch the news. Be totally detached from reality and just live your life day to day, and you might not notice what's going on around you. Then you might be a bit more happier. But I honestly, I would like to retire in a warmer climate and just put my feet up in an easier, tranquil place that's not as stressy and as cold as this place. Because I do not like the winters here anymore. I don't get me wrong, I used to love it here in the winter when it was snowing. It was brilliant. It was fun. But as you get older, and it's not that much fun anymore when it's that cold. So, yeah. No, it is nice in the Philippines. It really is. It's a world away from this place. But you've got to make the most of where you are. So, and that's what I'm doing at the minute. Tastinched. The benefit to the pension is not paying tax on the contributions. Well, I've had too much whiskey tonight to even understand what you're trying to say. So I'm going to have to move on, but thanks for the question anyway. Simon. Pensions are advantages because it's invested before income tax. Also, if you're in and out of universal credit, it's best to invest it in pensions so you don't hit the low capital limits of 16k. There is people who are on benefits. I don't know. I couldn't tell you at all what they would have to do as far as pensions go, because that's not anything I actually have had any experience in knowing, so I wouldn't know the answer, but I get what you're saying. So for people who are on benefits or in and out of benefits, the problem is you need to look into these things when you're young. When long before you reach pension age. Because if you think pension age, like I used to think when I was young, is a million miles away and you're never going to get there, that day's never going to come. It does come. So if you need to take the steps and look into what you're going to get and how you can structure your life for when you get near pension age. That would be a smart thing to do when you are actually young. I don't trust private pensions. I'd rather keep all money to myself. I'm kind of thinking along your lines as well. I don't trust private pensions either. You know what they never told you when they were trying to sell all these private pensions? That if you bought a second house, that would be your pension. If you had a second house, if you put your money into buying a second property, if you could, you could rent that out, and that would be your private pension. And if you said, fuck it, I don't want to rent it out no more, you could sell it and you would have a lump sum now. That property would be worth a shitload compared to what you paid years ago for it. But they never told you that, did they? They never told you it was good to buy a second house, did they? They just tried to push the pension plan. And there's lots of people that have invested in pensions and lost the fucking lot. It's gone, wiped out. They've lost it. That's the kind of people you want to put on this, you want to put in these channels so you can hear their stories of what they've lost. Private pensions may be good for some, but for others who invested in these pensions in certain schemes, they were ripped off and left fucking high and dry. So no, I personally wouldn't trust private pensions either. Simon, look into SIP, self-invested pension plan. That is exactly where my money was in Wealth Time. The company that called themselves Wealth Time, we were Portofino and before that Portal Direct. They called it a SIP. You could basically ring them up and tell them where you wanted the money put in if you wanted to. So yeah, that's sound advice. Dwayne, hi Ken. Oh, Ken's gone now, Dwayne, because I'm so far behind the chat. That's you're about like an hour behind now, but yeah, I will let her know. Texting. Problem is, if you only have cash investments, you lose so much to inflation. Well, I think everything in life, for the majority of us who don't know, you have to sit down and you have to dedicate some time to what you're trying to look into. And you can't just take the first person who gives you advice. You have to get a whole variety of advice from different people, so you can get kind of a picture of who's telling the truth and not, and then make up your own mind and then do what you think is best. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who's got to make the decision. I went to Philippines in October, but weather was horrible, so I came back to UK. Are you kidding me? Where did you go? Mirik, where the hell did you go that the weather was horrible? In October, you do get a fair bit of rain, I have to say. And depending where you were, you may have encountered a cyclone. That's all I can say. Because there were a few cyclones buzzing around, causing a lot of damage and devastation. John, I'm retired now, but I paid in 44 years national insurance contributions. Yeah. So if you've paid in 44 full years, you will get the full state pension. If you go to the gov.gov website, it tells you if you're born between certain year ranges, you will get, and you've put in 35 full years, you will get the full state pension. Even if you Google it, it will tell you. Kenny says hi Ken to Ken, but she's gone. But I'm sure she'll see it. She'll watch it back anyway. Paul, hello Ken, good to have you on tonight. At Chris, Star will not U-turn. He will be delighted with the deindustrialization. Yes, he won't give a shit. He doesn't care. He's raping the country for everything he can get. I actually believe he was interviewed by some reporter asking him where his loyalties lie. And he basically said it's with the World Economic Forum. That's where his buddies are. That's the kind of people he wants to mix with. The unelected bureaucrats, the people that none of us know. You know, the people that have all the money and all the power, but we don't know who they are. But they want to make all the rules of how we're supposed to live. That's the people he wants to mix with. So what does that tell you? Simon, deindustrialization isn't a bad thing. If we didn't, we'd be competing with China today and losing badly. Well, I actually believe you should make more industry in Britain. I mean, it's going to be hard to compete against China anyway. Britain can't produce stuff cheaper than China. That stands to reason. I don't know what the answer to that is. What? No turbo? Simon Butler, you are so very, very wrong. Kenny? Offshore foreign worker is the biggest income in the Philippines. My heart literally goes the fuck out to these people who leave their country and they work in the Middle East and God knows where for more than what they would earn in the Philippines or some of these Southeast Asian countries. They have to work long hours as carers and you know, God knows what in these countries. And they send most of their money back to their family. And, you know, it's sad. Because I've seen firsthand people who work in the Philippines, and a lot of people who work over there, they work long hours. They work with a smile, by the way, but they work long bloody hours and they don't get nothing, next to nothing for it. And but it's a different world out there. It's a different culture. It's a different mindset. And it's a different society. So you can't gauge what happens in the Philippines or the income of people in the Philippines to the people of over here in Britain. It's different. It's not the same. But saying that, a lot of these people that they work fucking hard for next to nothing. And the people who have to leave their families and go and work abroad because they've got no option. And it's heartbreaking. It really is. They've got to stay away for years working in these foreign countries just so they can survive and send money back to keep their families going. Anyway, pretty much all manufacturing is competing with China nowadays, and it isn't all losing. And I will let you know how much I'm paying in tax, me with the wife. Okay, Vic? When it comes in the post. Okay. So there's a few comments here which that's BH. Hello, Alan. Nice to thank you, BH. Appreciate it. Robert De Niro. Oh my God. Are you taking the time out of Hollywood just to say hello to me? Robert, hope you got a rise. I have to say. the boss at Steve's car sales, Steve Woodham, he is a very, very, very nice man. He is top-notch guy. If you were to know him, you would understand why. He is like one of the best people. He is the kind of person that once you meet in your life, you'll never forget him. And he's very nice. And he's always looked after me, and I really appreciate what he's done for me. So, yeah. I wouldn't say I got a rise, but he pays bloody good money. He pays very good money. So I've got nothing to moan about. I get frustrated with the work I have to do, but, you know, for what he's paying, fucking hell, man, it's like he's paying top whack. So I do the best I can, if you know what I mean. So I'm a very good boss. Andrew. Good day, Parang. Well, hello, Andrew. Ginebra #1, gin in the Philippines. I've never been a gin drinker. However, I don't even know what it's like to taste gin because I've never really drank it. I think I drank it years ago. I forgot what it tastes like. I may try a little bit just to see. But you know, if I do like it, I might buy some. Or I'd put my Christmas list out and ask someone to donate it to me. So I don't like buying alcohol. I like it to be given to me. I like alcohol to be placed in my hand free. 5-finger discount is what I like. And I'm getting a little bit tipsy now because I've had too much of this bloody JD. Kenna has a Mozzie Tazar. Taser. That racket, that's freaking awesome in killing the little bastards, because I freaking hate mosquitoes. They're tiny little insects. They bite you and it stings like hell. Horrible little insects. It's good to see Akhenaten looking and sounding so positive. All the best for Christmas and New Year. Tyler should open a pizza shop. He does like his Domino's pizza, the most expensive one going, by the way, as long as I'm paying. But yeah, well, thank you, TR. You're pretty much bang on the money there. Vic, bought my house in 2002, paid by 2012 on 10-year mortgage. 4-bedroom house, just two of us rattling. Can I tell you something? Vic? This is a true story. My first partner, her parents, okay, in the mid-1990s, they sold their house and they bought a house by the river here in Huntingdon. It was a big house with a big garden that's right opposite the river. That house they bought was £100,000. It was a repossession. So somebody couldn't pay the mortgage and lost it. The bank took control of the house and sold it as a repo. That house now is probably worth the best part of 750 to £1 million fucking pound. Now the guy who bought that house, my ex-father-in-law, he was the greatest bloke I've ever met. He was brilliant. His name was John Phelps, and I'm telling you now, he was salt of the earth. He would do anything for anyone, and he made the absolute perfect decision back all them years ago to buy that house. He saw an opportunity and he took it. And £100,000 in the mid-90s was a lot of money, but in today's money, look what it's worth now. He's made a mint, an absolute mint. And hats off to him. That's all I can say. Anyway, I shall move on. Alan, you're going back for Christmas. I wish I was. I really wish I was, but I can't because I'm working over Christmas. I'm actually working Christmas Eve. So I can't let my boss down. I'm working Christmas Eve, half day at least anyway. Sorry name Byron. Got our babe Hugo in my arms. Bear with me. He died. Oh, bless. Paul, have you got a spare room, Ken? She actually, I'll tell you something. There's some chicken and pig pens around, which could literally be made into a living accommodation out there. The only problem, I hope she's not listening. The big problem where Ken lives is the mozzies, the mosquitoes. If you're living by the coast in the Philippines, you're all right. No, or in the city or by the coast, you're fine. No problem. Beautiful. Pucker. But where we were, there's mosquitoes everywhere. And they're so quick. They're so quick. And if you're the kind of person they smell and they like to go for, you're in big shit because you're going to be in a world of pain. I'm just saying. Kenny, when you was in Seagull Resort, my girlfriend lives there and my condo is only 5 minutes away next to SM Davao Mall. Oh! Well, that Seagull Resort, that was the last resort I went to before I come back here. It was almost like a little man-made beach bit, but it was nice. It was okay. I quite enjoyed it there. But yeah, that's interesting to know. I wish I'd known. I could have come and had a beer with you, Kenny. That would have been great. Maybe next time, eh? Because I have been to Davao quite a lot. And I'll be honest, I'm not that over keen on Davao. I'm not that keen on it, but it's okay city. I like it when you go into People's Park. They frisk you. If you've got a vape on you, they'll take it off you. I don't smoke vape, but Tyler did. I think I'm trying to get him off the bloody shit, but they don't allow no nonsense in there. When you go into People's Park, you've got to be a health fanatic. You mustn't have no mind-bending substances on you. No smoking, no vaping, no nothing. So I like that. But yeah, well, thanks for that, Kenny. That's interesting to know. Andrew, 750 for a Mondeo Campbell. I got mine done at Ford Main Dealer for 285 all in. Mine's a 2015 Mark V Power Shift. So try Main Dealer. You would sometimes be amazed that sometimes the dealerships can give you a good deal. Even when it comes to buying parts, that sometimes they're selling parts cheaper than the manufacturers are doing. So it's worth shopping around if you've got the time. And 285 to have your cam belts done. I'll take it that includes water pump. That sounds not a bad deal at all. Chris, hello Chris, how are you doing? Following your story from Shrewsbury. Chris, I can't speak too well at the minute because it's too much whiskey intake, but thank you anyway. Robert, I love your name because I do watch Robert De Niro. I know he's gone a bit woke lately, but he is a very good actor and he's been in some very good films. So I still like his acting career. My dad had one of those old school big phones back in the 80s. I think it was an NEC. It was about the size of a desktop printer. The battery lasted about 30 minutes talk time. The reason I said that was because there was a particular guy. His name was Steve Fry. And he was a very, very nice guy. He was a car trader, okay? And he used to live in Stookley Meadows in Huntingdon. And I always remember him. He used to come into Marshall's. I used to work up Marshall's Motor Company up St. Peter's Road in Huntingdon. And he would come in there and he'd have this big like car battery with the old phone handset like that on top of it. And he would carry this great big flipping lump about everywhere he went because he got a lot of phone calls. And it was just amusing to see at the time. And this was before we even knew what mobile phones were. You know, they just didn't exist at that time. And when mobile phones came out properly, like the Nokia 3310, which a lot of people had, it was like, and I look back at what he used to carry around, it was like, yeah, he had the very first examples of a proper mobile phone. But yeah, it's kind of interesting when you look back over time now of how things have evolved. It's so interesting how fast time has flown by. You know, when you go back to VHS and Betamax tapes, then to DVDs, you know, it's I miss it all. I really do. Chris, finally followed your video regarding changing fuel filter on a Peugeot 308, same as Mondeo. Yeah. Once you've basically got the principle of how to change them and how to bleed them, or if they got a pump in the tank, you ain't got to bleed them. But yeah, there you go. It's all learning. If you can do it yourself, you save yourself a few bob. If you can't do it and you can't be bothered, then bring it to me if you're close, and I'll do it for you. H. Henry, I watched a video of Wayne Rooney's house today. 20 million. Fabulous. I bet he got a big mortgage. But you remember these footballers, they were making like more money in a week than most of us would make in a year. So you can understand why they've got all these big houses. When you look at their wages, it's like astronomical. BH, Alan, my wife likes to know why you come. Eh? You've lost me at the garden gate, BH. H. Henry, Ken looks as though she's in next room. I pay mine to Davo Light. It's online payment now. Internet online. Condo, dues and water all online. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just the same old. I mean, they'll be the same over there in years to come, no doubt. Hopefully in many years to come. Because I know it's all convenient. Even over here, it's like I go shopping and it's like, yeah, tap the card, you know. But to be honest with you, take me back to the 1970s any fucking day. I can take my card and shove it up someone's arse. I don't care. I'd rather have cash. I like it how things used to be done. I'm tired of all this digital age. I really am. I just want to go back in time now. But that's me. If I was Gen Z, then I might see things differently. I shall run through a few comments. BH, so true. My wife keeps her money in her bra. Does she now? Okay. I told my parents I'm building a shed for my parents. That's here care home. FS. Thanks, Andrew, for the info. $750 was quoted by the main dealer for a manual Mondeo 2000 petrol engine. It's crazy prices. Whereabouts is the main dealer that's priced yours $285 all in? Might take up Alan's offer. Just wondering how I'm going to manage a 90-mile drive to see him at Steve's. I need to check with Alan how we can schedule this and to make sure they have all the parts. Well, the best thing to do is just look up Steve's car sales, phone up the number, ask for Shane, and he'll give you a quote. Because I don't actually give the quotes, I just do the work. So you'll let him know that you're off YouTube and see if he can ask him, say, Shane, mate, can you do a deal? Can you do a deal on changing my cam belts? Let me know what car you've got and all that, and see what kind of deal, and we'll come back to you with a price. But I can guarantee you it'll be cheaper than £750. So it might, if you can't get it a deal down where you are, then certainly give us a ring, and we could probably do it. If it's not that bad, we could probably do it while you wait. Take a few hours in town, go down to the local cafe or something while we fix your car. Then you can go home the same day. How does that sound? Also worried about them finding other jobs and I get stuck in Huntingdon. What? But that's my least worry. I'll hook up with Alan for JD's. Yeah, no problem. Robert, can you connect the MacBook to the 27-inch monitor? I don't know. You're getting a bit technical now, and I'm not really a computer wizard. I can use Final Cut Pro X. I can use a bit of Motion, bit of Photoshop, but much more than that, you're asking me now. I'm not too sure. Is it what's called mirroring? I don't know. I might look at it at some point, maybe in the next life. Alan, have you tried JD Select? No. All I've got is the original. I have tried the honey. I do like the honey, but that's it. I know they do an apple version, and they do other versions now. I mean, JD's getting quite big now. They're doing all kinds of flavors, but no, I haven't tried that one yet. Now the rent will be paid straight out to the landlord. We have a tenant who has this arrangement. Well, that's the way you would think it would be, but as I said earlier on, certain councils like to pay the rent money to the tenant, and then the tenant would have to pay the money to the landlord. And if the tenant decided that they wanted to spend the money elsewhere and didn't pay the landlord, the council can say, you made yourself intentionally homeless. You're no longer our problem. Fuck off. And that's basically the way it was. And I reckon that was done deliberately to get rid of people that are on benefits. That's a whole nother story, by the way. Craig, hello. Hi, Alan. I cashed in Serps to pay off my mortgage early. Yes, that's exactly what I did. I thought it was a good decision to make. And I stand by that decision because there was I'll just say this quickly, but if I had left my mortgage, if I had said, right, that Serps money is invested in a private pension, if I said, right, I'll leave that, I won't touch it, I'll leave that until retirement day, so that can supplement my state pension. So I'd have my state pension plus my Serps pension, which could be, say, rather than £1,000 a month, it's going to be £2,000 a month. But I don't think I'll be able to get that anyway, would I? Because I'll be taxed. So it might not work out too well that way. But if I'd have left that Serps money in the pension and I just decided to just go along with the state pension, I would still have 11 years to pay on this house. Now, the problem is with 11 years to pay on this house, that would have meant at the current interest rate of what was around about 5.25%, I would be paying on what I owed was £90,000. Over 11 years, that would equate to over £130,000. So it'd be around about £40,000 in interest alone. Whereas by cashing in on the Serps pension money, I've paid the government between £26,000 and £28,000. So it is the better of two evils. And as once the mortgage is paid, the way I saw it, I'm debt free. So if I carry on working, if I was to carry on working for the next 11 years, because I haven't got a mortgage to pay, then all the money I'm earning from my wages, I can put that into savings accounts or wherever I like, and I'm paying interest to no one. I'm not paying any more debts with interest. So I can put my money wherever the fuck I want to put it and make it grow as much as I want to. When you are debt free, and that is the aim in later life, when you're young, you tend to waste your money in that unless you're really savvy. But in later life, when you start to think about what you're going to do, you want to put your money somewhere and you don't want to have debts over your head. That's the whole purpose of it all. You want to be debt free. You want to have money in the bank and be debt free. And then you can do what we like with your money. And you can sure as hell put your money somewhere that would make it work just as quick and as good as what a private pension plan would do for you. But I don't see the point. I mean, I don't, it's one thing paying a lot of money to the government to take a pension out. But in my situation, it was another thing having to pay £40,000 in interest to the bank, to the NatWest Bank, to pay my mortgage off over 11 years if I'd have left the term to run. So there are many options you can do in the whatever situation you're in. You've just got to sit down or even get somebody who knows what they're talking about, if you can trust them, that is, and try and work out all the options and then make a decision what's best for you, what's going to work for you, because what worked for me isn't probably going to work for you. I'm just saying. It's you've really got to sit down and think about these things, because as we get older, we think more and more about what we're going to do when we retire. What are we going to do? How are we going to finance our retirement? And that's what you've got to look in. This is not a flipping money channel, is it? This used to be a car channel, and now it's gone into a anything channel, a Philippine channel, a Philippine daily vlog channel sort of thing to anything that comes up. So I don't mind talking about anything. So anything's interesting. If someone's got something they want to talk about, then leave a comment, and if it's worth talking about, we'll have a discussion about it, because it all helps, when you get a whole load of people talking about a certain subject that many people are interested, and especially when it comes to pensions. I mean, I know there's a lot of channels here on YouTube that you can watch of people who really do know what they're talking about. So it's probably worth going down them avenues as well and watching them and seeing what they've got to say, because some of them might be a bit hazy, but there's going to be some point you're going to find that little piece of advice that creates a little spark that you think, that's my situation, and then you get more interested to see what they're doing, and it might solve a few problems for you. I'm just saying, you've got to keep on top of it all. Anyway, I'm going to call time on this live stream, because flipping heck, it's dragging on, man. It's now 11:15 at night, and we're still going. Alexander, hello. What's that on your head? And they built a lot of them houses like that. You never can be. Yes, yes, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. Because they're fucking you up the arse. That's what they're doing, Alexander. It's not right. You know, people in Britain, I mean, I know I'm sticking to like this country. In a lot of other countries, home ownership was never a thing. People didn't think about it. But here in Britain, it was drummed into us after like World War II, I guess, that to be a homeowner, to aspire to owning your own home. That's what we were told. Now they're trying to tell you that's not what you want to do. They don't want you to own your home anymore. They don't want that. They want you to own nothing and be fucking happy. You know, I mean, I can kind of, in that statement alone, you know, that come out over COVID, didn't it? And that comes from the World Economic Forum, where the bigots are. You know, I don't agree with them, 100% I don't agree with them. But what I do agree with is that we shouldn't get too hung up on possessions. But it is always nice to actually own your own home. To say that this is mine. As long as you've not got anything nefarious going on, because the state can come in and take it off you. That's the only problem. The more you own, the more they've got hanging around your neck. So, but, you know, if you're just a normal person and you're not doing nothing wrong, you know, it's nice to actually own something. And you know, when you get paid at the end of every month, it's nice to know you haven't got rent, you haven't got mortgage, you haven't got this and that to pay. You can just, in later life, in your later years, take it a bit easier. Make your life easier. Kenny, Alan, you didn't know Accrington. You can buy a house for 1,000k. It's a shithole. Guess why? Kenny, I want to know. You've got me interested now. So I'm going to look for your comment further down before I quit this live stream. Can't understand how lads like Tyler can ever buy a house. Well, he would have to earn a shitload of money now in order to buy a house. Do you know what? Do you know what really pisses me off? I can take a council house, a shoddily built council house that was banged up quickly in the 1960s, that I know for a fact some of these houses would have sold for £20,000 in the early 1990s. They're now selling for probably the best part of 180 to 200 grand for a house that every man and his frigging dog has been in and out of. They've been knocked around like you don't know what. Some of them still have the red and black fucking wires, you know, as the electrics, because they're so old. And I look at these houses and I think, why are they worth this? It's nothing to do with the value of the house anymore, is it? It's all, you know, because it's supply and demand. That's what it's come down to. It's also postcode, where the property is. Is it close to the bus station? Is it close to the train station? Is it close to the town? Is it close to all the amenities? You know, it doesn't matter if it's a shithole. It'll just bang the price up because it's close to all this stuff. And it's for someone like me who's grown up and who has seen these houses over the years and known what they were worth all those years ago, even when they were brand spanking new, they weren't nothing to look at. And now, all these years later, I would rather live in a fucking tent than I'd live in some of these houses. And yet the prices of them are ridiculous. But what can you do? You can either put your money and buy them because you've got no other option, or go and rent somewhere, or do something else. Go and live with your parents if you can. I finally paid off my mortgage last year after 50 years. Henry, 50 years? You know mortgages these days, I know that mortgages these days, they are extending the years to like 35 years. Am I right? Does anybody know that? 35 years is a long, long bloody time to buy a house. Especially if you're in a relationship. Can you imagine if you've got married, you met the love of your life, and you get married and you buy a house together? You know, you say you're 22, and you meet this girl, this beautiful girl, and you're so in love, and you know, you buy a house together. That's what most of us did back in the the late 80s and 90s. And then 10, maybe 20 years later, it all turns to shit and you break up and you go your separate ways and you sell everything and you separate everything and you've lost it all. You know, 35 years for a mortgage is a long time. I'm just saying, it's a long fripping time. Two-stroke matters. Hello. I want to go to live in Philippines. Have you ever been there? Two-stroke matters. Have you ever been there? That's what I want to know. Have you been there? I want to know. Then I can advise you. And believe me, I've only been out there for 10 months, so I don't really know myself. But I can give you maybe like my 2 penn'orths, which don't count for much, but it might count for a little bit. TR, never want to end my days sat in a wing-back chair, smelling of dried piss and cabbage, listening to violin songs. No, you want to go out with a bang, don't you, TR? That's what you want to do. Go out with a blast. I totally get it. I get it. Good on you. George. Hello, George. I must prefer a stocks and shares ISA over a pension because of the flexibility and control you have. Yes. If you've got the right advice and you know what you're doing, I think, personally, you should either buy a second house, or if you know where to invest your money, where you can have control of accessing that money without the pension advisor saying, well, you can only take this amount out because, don't take too much out because you'll get taxed, and we'll control how much you can have. If you can control your own money, then listen to George. I don't want the state telling me what to do. I don't want the state telling me, yeah, be a good boy and have your £1,200 a month. That's all you're allowed. Shut up and put up with it, okay? I don't want to be told that. I want to have control. If I've saved up all these years, I want the fucking control of my own money. And if I fuck it up, then that's my problem. That's my problem, I didn't take the right advice. I blew the money because I'm a twat. But I don't want all these state officials and God knows what telling me this is what you need to do for your own good, and be a good little boy and shut up and do as you're told. So thank you, George. That was a very good comment. I like that. Kenny, an old farmer told me many years ago, put your money in bricks and mortar. Exactly. But Kenny, they never told us that, did they? they told us to put our money into pensions, didn't they? They told us to put our money into pensions, and many of us who put our money into these pensions got screwed big time. And we lost everything. Not me, but a lot of people lost their pensions. They put their money into all these pensions they thought was going to give them a return, and all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. Where's my pension money? It's fucking disappeared somewhere. Yes, Kenny, you were right. Put your money in bricks and mortar, because property keeps going up. As long as you don't buy a house that's about to fall down, you know, there's risk in everything. But generally speaking, if you buy a sound property, the value will keep going up. That will be your pension. Kenny, yes, listen to Kenny. He knows what he's saying. He knows what he's talking about. Hello, Andrew from St. Neots. How are you doing? It's good to hear from you. Hi, Alan. I'm back in the UK for a few months and then back to Uganda. Interesting chats, US. Well, thank you, Andrew. How was Uganda? I have never been to Africa. I don't think I'm going to live long enough to actually go, but it's not in my sort of like thing to go there. But I mean, I watched Andrew's videos. He's been out to Uganda. He's doing things in his life. He's going places and he's seeing things. So while you are here on this planet, like Andrew, go and do something if you can. Go and experience something out of the box, something you've never done before. You might well be surprised. And Andrew, I admire you for what you do, because you're a vlogger, you're a fellow vlogger, and you get out there and you make things happen. So hats off to you, mate. Anyway, I'm thinking of quitting this live stream because it's really going on for 3 hours now. Every single time I put a live stream, I say to myself, I'm going to not go on for more than an hour and a half. And it's now freaking 3 hours. Fan fact, guys not getting full state pension were contracted out of Serps, so didn't do 35 years national insurance contributions. Now, fan fact, you have hit a very important subject there, because I'll use my example. When I contracted out of Serps in the early 80s, I was told and led to believe that because I contracted a proportion of my national insurance contributions out of the state pension, I would not receive full state pension. That's the way I was always led to believe it would be. However, in my case, I have put in 40 years full NI contributions, and I will receive full state pension, even though I've had all the money from Serps invested elsewhere and I've now spent the money buying this place. So it kind of like turns it on its head sort of thing, that I've got the full state pension anyway, even though I was contracted out, even though they told me I wouldn't get the full state pension. So, funny old world. Jokes. Alan, we missed the taxi content. The taxis have gone. They've been sold. Steve sold off all the taxis. They've gone. They were sold to Panther. They're under the name of Panther in Cambridge City, which is like nearly 20 miles down the road. But the company who actually owns all the Mondeos that used to be Steve's taxis are called Vizu. Victor Echo Zulu Uniform. Vizu. They are the company. I've never bloody heard of them. Vizu. They bought Panther in Cambridge, and they bought Steve's taxis. They own all the cars. Steve Woodham of Steve's taxis, former Steve's taxis, now Steve's car sales. He doesn't own the taxis anymore. He just owns the car sales. The taxis are gone. History. That time has gone. That ship has sailed. They were good times, by the way. They were freaking good times. They were all the years of my life that I will never, ever forget. And I'm glad I'd done all them videos down that garage with them taxis, because they were moments into, it wasn't just the videos on fixing cars. It was personal as well. It was documenting moments in time that we'll never get back again. But it was fun. It was great fun doing it. Jokes, what you doing in that Banana Republic? I'm working. I hope you're talking about the UK, because the UK is literally the Banana Republic. The actual Philippines is not a banana republic. That is actually a proper republic. It actually feels, if you watch the news over here in the UK, it feels like I'm living in a banana republic. Under Keir Starmer, that's literally it now. So, not bloody much. I'm working a bit now. Austin Lloyd. Austin, you sound like a, I don't know, it sounds like a quite an upper class name, that does, Austin Lloyd. Next World Economic meeting, I'll pay Mr. Putin to send a big present. Jack, good to see you back. I got a problem on my Mark III Mondeo where the interior boot switch and tailgate button no longer work. I can open the boot by double clicking the key fob. I should think it's just the interior boots. It's probably the micro switch on the boot handle. You'd probably have to change the switch on the boot latch. That's probably gone faulty. Alan, how do you make good money in the Philippines? I guess working offshore drilling for oil in the South China Sea. You don't, as a foreigner going to the Philippines, you don't make good money. And if you do make good money, then you go over there and you've already got your plan in place before you go there. But you don't make good money. The average person who goes to the Philippines, the average foreigner who goes to the Philippines goes there to retire. Unless you're Chinese. A lot of Chinese will go to the Philippines and start a business because they'll get around it and they will make money. But the average Westerner who goes to the Philippines, they go there to relax. They don't go there to make money, not proper decent money. If you want to make decent money, you need to be here in England or somewhere in Europe or America or wherever to make proper money, but not in the Philippines. Paul, that's a name from the past. John Phelps. He had some great cars over the years. Not seen him or Ruth for a while. Oh, Paul, well, you obviously know him very well then. He was my father-in-law many years ago. Yeah, he was like, I can't say enough good things about John. He was like brilliant. The amount of times he helped me. He was the kind of guy that he would drop everything to go out and help you. And from his car days, he moved into plant hire. I forget the name of the guy he used to work for before he actually worked for himself. Oh my God, it'll probably come back to me after this bloody live stream. But no, I haven't seen Ruth in a long time, so I don't really know. It's been many years. I was with his daughter. I was, his daughter's partner, Tony Phelps, for many years. But it's over as the years have gone by. After we broke up in 2004, the years have gone by, and I heard that she passed away, which is so sad. And you know what's really sad about it all is that I don't even have a photo of any of them, of Ruth, John, her sister, Tony, or Jenny. None of them. In back then, when I think about it, I can't remember the name of the phone I had. It was one of them Nokias with the flashing lights down the side. But I never had a camera back in them days. We just lived life from day to day. It was like great. We used to drive around in marinas and cortinas and all that. But no, John was he was a good businessman. He went into plant hire by himself, and yeah, he was the guy who bought that $100,000 house that's worth a fortune now. But I heard he died. I mean, John died some years back now. I don't know what he died of, but by then I was long gone. But I did hear about it, and it's kind of like quite sad to hear, because he was one of the role models in my life. He was one of them guys that once you meet and you've known him for a while, you kind of like, you'll never forget him. You'll never forget the things he done things for me. He helped me out in so many times that I just have so much admiration for him. And to the day I die, I'll never forget him. But anyway, well, thanks, Paul. I'm glad you know him, because he was brilliant. British Rail, hello. Even though did TCH have the car show this year? Do you know what? I don't know. I wasn't here this year for that one, but the previous 2 years I did go. I don't know about this year. I really don't know. But I should think if you Google it, it might be there. There might be something there about it. I didn't hear nothing. And the Kevin and Vivian I normally speak to, I'm not sure they even mentioned it about TCH car show this year. So I don't really know. Two-stroke matters. I want a Philippine wife. You know, if you go on the dating, there's a lot of Philippine women on dating sites. So you'd have to check them out, man. Matty's laughed my arse off. I'm looking forward to travel there and get one. You'd be amazed, right? When you're out there, you can't just go out there and think they're going to fall at your feet, because they don't. It's not quite like that. It's but it is a very different kind of thing out there. It's like you walk around. It depends where you are, mind you. I mean, where I was there's not that many foreigners there. I rarely see one foreigner from one day to the next. But there's a lot of places in the Philippines where lots of foreigners go, like Cebu City. They all seem to want to congregate there, but it's somewhere I haven't been yet. But if you go in the more remote places that many foreigners don't go, you'll find that a lot of Filipinos, they see you and they're kind of interested. They maybe want to speak to you, or a lot of them get shy actually because they can't speak much good English and you can't speak their language, and it's a bit of a problem. But you'll find that a lot of people do look at you, like over here in England, where you're just a ghost basically. No one even sees you. You don't exist. And over there they do, and you'll physically notice that people notice you. But it's because they're in the Philippines, as no matter what some people might think of the place, to me it's a kind of Filipino first policy. They don't allow foreigners to come in their country and buy property or land. There's certain things foreigners can do if they have certain privileges or they're married or something like that, but you can't just rack up in their country. And if you do go into their country, you have to pay your visa fees. And if you don't, you're going to get deported or you're going to be in serious trouble. So it's not kind of like how it is over here. And if you ever get to, you need to actually go to one of these places to literally experience it for yourself and draw your own conclusions. But it is totally a world away from what it is over here in England. It really is. It's worth it just to go over there for a few weeks just to experience it. I mean, there's lots of countries. There's a lot of people go to Thailand. A lot of people, you can go to Vietnam, Malaysia. You know, there's a whole load of countries out there. There's so much to explore. Just get experience in these different places. BH, sorry, my wife likes to know why you come back to the UK. The reason I've said this in a load of different videos, the main number one reason I come back here, the whole premise of us going out to the Philippines was that I was going to get Tyler into college over there, and he was going to do a undergraduate degree on a college course. And even before I went out there, I had my reservations about it, but I went ahead of it anyway, so we could find out firsthand. The college was an internationally acknowledged college, so any degrees that gained through this college, which was the Central Mindanao College, any degrees would be internationally recognised. But after him taking the entrance exam, they let him in, but they wanted certain documentation, which would mean coming back to England to get all that, which we could have done. But I was thinking about it, and I had a long discussion with Tyler about it, and we come to the decision that really, in all honesty, it wasn't kind of really what he wanted. And he was kind of aiming that he would rather just come back here and get a proper job here back in England and start his career back here, which is, to be fair, was what he really should have done. I mean, it was kind of wrong of me to take him out to the Philippines anyway, to live that kind of life and stay out there. So, I mean, that's why we come back, so he can pick up a career here in England. I mean, for me personally, I want to stay out there. I don't want to be here. I'd rather still be out there. And if I keep saying this, but I don't want to make Tyler feel bad. But if I never had Tyler, I wouldn't have to come back. I could stay out there. But because of him, he's my son. I love him to death, and I want to do the best for him. So I'm back here, and I will see this through until he is established here. And in the meantime, I will keep taking trips to the Philippines. So it's just one of those things. It's just life. You've got to do what you have to do, and that's what I'm doing basically. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up in a minute because it's well going on far too long. Everybody paid with a cheque or cash. Now it's card or mobile phone. 1,100 jobs in Luton will devastate this town. There simply isn't enough jobs in this town. Remember Rover Cars. I remember Rover Cars very well. Yeah. And I saw how that went. You know, every time I see a Chinese car with big fucking MG written on it, I think, do you know what? That's just taking the fucking piss in it. It really is. MG, Morris Garages, was the pinnacle of British engineering. It was British motoring. And I bet you half these people who buy these MGs don't even know what the fuck MG stands for, do they? They just think it's a big MG badge on a nice, flashy looking car. But to the people who actually built these cars and worked for the Rover Group and Austin Morris and all that back in the early days, they'd be disgusted to know that they're just Chinese banging out all these modern cars just using the badge. I don't see why they've got to use the badge MG. You know, what the hell has China got to do with Morris Garages? Absolutely zero. They bought the name. Whoopee fucking do. Anyway. Alan, your kitchen is so tidy. Yeah, but you've only seen part of it. That's the oven. I had the oven door open because once the oven was on and I cooked dinner, I let the heat from the oven come out. That's the wall, and then that goes down into the living room. So there's a fridge behind the wall, by the way. Behind that wall, round there, oh god, I can't. There's a fridge behind the oven, along where the oven is, but you can't see it because the wall's in the way. I don't have OCD, I really don't, but I do like to have it clean in here. I don't make a mess, and I keep trying to tell Tyler to keep his shit in order, to keep everything neat and tidy. It's not so much the fact that his bedroom's sometimes a mess. It's more the fact that I keep trying to instill into him that if he's taking a car to pieces, he needs to take each part off and put all the nuts and bolts and everything in little sections so he knows where everything goes back. Keeping things neat and tidy and in order. It's just basic mythology, you know. Kenny, here we go. Accrington has been taken over by you-know-who. Nobody works, they're all on benefits. Paid by us, taxpayers. I don't know what the deal is. You know when Starmer comes out, everything he blames. I mean, I'm not defending the Conservatives at all because they were absolutely wankers. But every time Starmer comes out or one of his subordinates, they say, well, we were left a £22 billion black hole by the Conservatives. Yet they can pay for all these hotels up and down the country to house all these illegal economic migrants. Why? These people that are coming across on boats, they are paying lots of money to people traffickers to get on that boat in the first place. So it's not as if they're exactly hard up. They're paying to come across here so they can be put up in these hotels. And then the British taxpayers, the people who work, their tax goes into the government, who are then paying for all this, for paying for them to sit in hotels. Why? And most of these people, they don't have skills. They don't have skills. They're not doctors. They're not engineers. They're not brain surgeons. They're not rocket scientists. So what are they doing in all these hotels? What is the purpose? I don't know. What is the point? Why don't they just turn them around and send them back to where they come from? They're not fleeing war-torn countries. And the question is, what are they going to do? What are they going to do long-term over here? Are they going to end up working in criminal activities? How are they going to get regular jobs? Or are you just going to have hordes of young men just walking around aimlessly with nothing to do, living off benefits because they can't get a job? It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Our mortgage is 35 years for a 2-bedroom flat, £166,000. We've been here 9 years, worth 265,000 to 270, all because we live near Chelmsford. Yeah, it works on your postcode now. years and years ago that your property was mainly based on what the actual house was worth. Now it's based on, are you close to a train station, to the town, to stuff like that. They can give you a rough valuation without even looking at your property anymore. Yeah. It's unbelievable how much the prices have gone up. But I think it's all wrong because they shouldn't have gone up this high. They've literally priced people out. There's so many young people now who cannot get on the housing ladder because of the price. I'm single. A lot of my mates got divorced and lost half of their house. Well, we all know somebody, I guess, that's gone down that route. You've got married, you've split up, and it's got messy. And if there's kids involved, it gets even more messy. So I've never been married, so I can't really comment on the marriage side of things. But yeah, it's everything in life is a big risk now. It is over here. Chris, Luton can't afford to lose the Vauxhall van plant owned by Stellantis. 1,100 jobs lost. I remember when Rover went, and yes, money is safe in bricks and mortar. Properly seems to be the safest. Yeah. I think a lot of these places that are shutting down, and the people who actually have worked there for many, many years that remember them, it's sad. It's sad to see what was you would think would be there forever, and all of a sudden it's being destroyed and dismantled. Cheeky Chappy, please shout out Fat Jamie Mack. Best Tech, hello from Newcastle. Hey. Fat Jamie Mack, shout out, mate, and Karen and Kieran. Well, hello. I can't take no more. I've had enough. There's plenty left in the bottle. There's a good, there's a good old amount left in there. I'll save that for the next one. Lou at Fernley. Visu are a big taxi company in Swindon too. Yeah, I think they're buying up. They're buying up lots of taxi companies and trying to, I don't know, be one of the big names. It's all changed, hasn't it? All the small taxi companies can't compete anymore. They're all being kicked out. They're all being shut down, outbid. Can't operate no more because these bigger companies are taking over. It's the way the world's going. Joey Skip, 89. How are you doing? Anyway, I think I'm going to call time. It's getting on past my bedtime. But thank you, everybody, for joining the live stream. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great night for me. I do like a good live stream once every now and again. So if I haven't got to your comment, I do apologise, but I'm always a miles behind on the chat. But thank you, everybody, for the chat tonight anyway. And have a great Sunday out there if you're in the UK. If you're in the Philippines, you're already in Sunday. So have a nice day. And wherever you are in the world, have a good one. And I will see you later. So signing out. Adios, people. I need to find the exit button now. There it is, the big red end live stream. See you later. Bye for now.